Hello out there and welcome to Ray Fisher Stadium. We're bringing you the rubber match of University of Michigan baseball facing off with the Maryland Terrapins. I'm Eli Sherman. I'll be joined in a moment by Dan Disler. You're listening to WCBN Sports. We're live at Ray Fisher Stadium. In this rubber match, Michigan looking to get the series win against the Maryland Terrapins. Yesterday they played a doubleheader after a rain out on Friday afternoon. Terrapins took the first game 3-1 with a masterful pitching performance by Mike Schwerin. Improved to 5-0 on the season, dropped his ERA to 2.27. Terrapins were winning basically the whole game. Michigan only just got a run in the ninth inning. And then in the second game of that doubleheader, which started around 4 p.m., the Wolverines managed to tag the Terrapins for 10 runs. They scored 8 runs in the fifth inning, and then they basically just did not look back from there. They did give up a run with 2 outs in the ninth inning. Cam Wysocki came in towards the end of the eighth, and then a pinch hit home run by a guy who had only had 1 hit on the season. And we're underway here. Brad Adcock on the mound for the Wolverines. Brandon Lowe, the leadoff hitter for the Terrapins. First pitch was a ball up. Second pitch inside, a fastball, 2-0. Lineup for the Terrapins today. Brandon Lowe, the second baseman, leading off. Batting second, Kevin Smith, the shortstop. Batting third, DH Nick Sierri. Batting fourth, the third baseman, Jose Quas, as Adcock winds and fires. Fastball up. And the count moves to 3-0 for Brandon Lowe. Batting fifth, the catcher, Kevin Martier. He had a long day yesterday. Caught all but the last inning of that 2-game set. Batting sixth, the right fielder, Tim Lewis. Seventh, the center fielder, Anthony Papio. 3-0 pitch from Adcock. That one's inside. And no, the umpire is going to call him back, say it was a strike. Might have been because he left the box a little bit early there. But Brandon Lowe going to get called back. Looks like it was about chest high from up here. So 3-1 count. 8-hitter, the first baseman, Kevin Biondic. And finishing up is Zach Jankarski. Another strike in there right at the knees. Brandon Lowe definitely not happy with the umpire. Umpire behind the plate today, Stephen Linton. Over at first base, Mike Duffy. And at third, Matt Nieder, who rotated around from the plate position yesterday. Adcock with the 3-2. Swing and a foul straight back, and the count stays put. In the field today for the Wolverines, Cronenworth at third, Bivens at shortstop, Glines in center, Benedetti at first today. Bruder in left field, Ryan Newtoff, the designated hitter after a nice pitching performance yesterday in the second game. Kevin White out in right field, Drew Lugbauer behind the dish. 3-2 pitch got away from Adcock a little bit, and Brandon Lowe is on with a leadoff walk to start this game. And finishing out the lineup for the Wolverines at second base, Eric Jacobson. So more or less the same lineup for the Wolverines today as we're used to seeing. Carmen Benedetti is at first base. Yesterday we saw Jusic out there. And Newtoff, who hasn't had an at-bat yet on the season, will be getting his first appearances at the plate for the Wolverines. Yesterday he went 7 1/3 scoreless, had 6 strikeouts, gave up just 1 walk. Adcock winds and throws a fastball up and away. Smith, a .265 hitter on the season. And now the 1-0 pitch. Adcock taking a long time checking the runner. Fastball inside for a ball. 2-0. Adcock has really struggled with the command here so far. It is windy. The wind coming in from straightaway center, so that could play issues on him. Adcock has struggled more or less all season. He has a 5.40 ERA. 2 wins, 3 losses. He fires one over to first base, back safely as Lowe. Smith at the plate. Adcock, 8 appearances, 6 starts. Did have 1 complete game. And just 26 strikeouts to 23 walks, so about even in that department. 2-0 pitch. That one's wide, 3-0 for the second consecutive batter here. Adcock comes home, gets a strike on the outside corner, didn't look particularly good, just trying to get it across the plate there. But it's in there for a strike, 3-1. Adcock checks the runner, now throws over. Ball gets away from Benedetti. That one bounces into the Maryland dugout. Brandon Lowe gets second base only. 1 from the mound, 2 from the field. The call from the umpires. So Dan Disler joins my broadcast now. Dan, Wolverines this year have been kind of hot and cold on hitting. They were really hot during the spring break trip. A little bit before that, they were a little bit on the colder side. And then yesterday we saw them turn it up for 8 runs in the 5th inning. What does Michigan need to do today to get to Willie Rios? Rios is 6.28 ERA on the season. He is a freshman, so he could have, nervousness issues as Smith bunts one, popped up behind the plate for a foul ball, now a 3-2 count.
I think it's about patience. I think it's about waiting for him, letting him come to you, making him find the strike zone and working him, getting him a little rattled. Hopefully, as you mentioned, he is a freshman, and then hopefully the bats can get to him. As we saw, if you work him late in the later innings, if you work him on in the early innings, you can have a big advantage against this college level pitching.
Yeah, when Rios comes in, he'll be entering this game with a 1-0 record on the season, 6.28 ERA. Adcock misses a curveball in the outside corner and walks his second straight hitter. Rios has started 3 games on the season, made 5 appearances, just 14 1/3 pitched on his young career. And already Coach Bakich is going to come out and have a conversation with Brett Adcock, try and settle down his pitcher. Brett Adcock did pretty well last year as a freshman pitcher on this team, but since the start of the year, he's really struggled from the left side. What do you think Bakich is saying to his player right now?
I think he's just telling him to, relax. We've seen a bit of a theme unravel in these first 2 batters, just a lack of control. He's been putting them on. Even when he tried to throw over to first base, it was wild. So he's just got to relax, throw some strikes, play pitch and catch with the pitcher. Let his guys make the plays behind him. He's got a good defense behind him.
Do you think possibly the cold start is obviously if you're not in Ann Arbor, it's 37 degrees right now. Fair bit of clouds over the sky, not completely overcast and patches of blue out there, but it's windy and everybody's wearing sleeves, even the toughest of the tough, Kevin White out in right center field. Well, he has 3/4 sleeves, but nonetheless, is it possible that weather is playing to Adcock's weaknesses here?
Yeah, absolutely. Baseball is such a mental game that, even the slightest thing that throws you off your routine just a little bit can force you to throw it a couple inches outside and put the first 2 guys on. So hopefully he can warm up both figuratively and literally as this game continues.
So Adcock ready to go now, staring in to get a sign from Lugbauer. Lugbauer caught the second of the doubleheader yesterday. First pitch in there for a strike. It's interesting to see every time a coach goes to the mound, it seems like the very next pitch out of the pitcher's hand is right across Main Street. Adcock looking in. Oh, 0-1 pitch is on the outside corner. And now a 1-1 count. Adcock again laboring. Over at third, Cronenworth is standing in at the baseline, checking the runner in case of a bunt. Curveball is outside, 2-1 now. And the few fans that are here are urging Adcock to try and get it together. The 2-1 pitch. In there for a strike, a fastball right at the knees. And sometimes when you're in a situation like this where you're struggling, the best thing you can do is just try and get the fastball over, work with the fastball, then focus on the other pitches secondarily. Adcock comes set, the 2-2. Outside a fastball, 3-2.
You said you saw him go with the fastball there again. Showed a little bit of lack of control over the breaking balls today.
And Adcock, 3 batters, 3 3-ball counts. Payoff pitch, he swings and misses. Sierra goes down swinging.
Big out there for Adcock.
And the Wolverines now have an out, and they can get out of this inning with just a ground ball. Adcock, if he's able to work the zone, really control the ball and get it low, get Jose Cuas to make a mistake. Jose Cuas coming into this game, 240 hitter on the season. Does have quite a bit of power, though. 4 doubles, 5 home runs on the season. So, again, work low. The wind should help Adcock out a little bit today. Fastball in the inside corner. Cuas doing a nice job of taking that, making himself as big off of the plate as possible to let that one go under him.
Not a bad pitch there, though.
Adcock staring in for the 1-0. All 4 hitters so far have seen a ball on the first pitch. Swing and a miss, a high fastball. 1-1 now the count with 1 out.
And Cuas is a guy who is prone to some of those swings and misses. He struck out 22 times on this young season.
Yeah, you think that a lot of times it's the guys that hit the ball the hardest or the guys that strike out because they're almost always trying to swing for the fences. They don't have the greatest contact. Adcock lifts up the foot, turns towards second base, sets it down. Just trying to keep the runner honest. Middle infielders are playing at double play depth. Corner infielders playing back as well. Now the 1-1 pitch. Inside and low, 2-1. Adcock continues to struggle. Adcock came into the game 26 strikeouts to 23 walks. That number has now moved to 25 already. And anytime you're near that 1-to-1 ratio, it isn't great. Swing and a miss on a pitch that was 3 feet out of the strike zone.
He likes those high ones, I think. The second time he's got him to chase high and away this at bat.
Eyes get as big as dinner plates. And, if you're Cuas, today is not going to be the day that you're going to overpower the ball. Winds right now around 20 miles an hour. They're expected to increase. Swing and a foul straight back. 2-2 stays the count. Martir retrieves the ball behind the plate.
If I'm Adcock right here, I'm going to keep elevating, make him chase. Again, don't give him anything to hit here.
That is probably exactly what Lugbauer is saying right now. This curveball has struggled so far today. Now the 2-2 pitch. Swinging another foul back. That one a little bit lower, closer to Cuas's real wheelhouse. But every time you see Cuas take one of these big cuts, it looks like, the front shoulder comes up. You can almost see that he's trying to get under the ball and drive it into the air.
Absolutely.
Pickoff attempt to second base. In there safely is Brandon Lowe. And Adcock staring back in. He comes set for the 2-2 pitch. Swinging another foul back. Cuas doing a good job with 2 strikes to fight off these pitches.
Yeah, and generally when someone's fouled off this many with 2 strikes, you'd call it protecting the plate, but his cut has been so aggressive. It's not even as if he's connecting the plate. He's just not able to connect with that big swing that he's looking to drive the ball, as you mentioned before.
Cuas, 23 hits on the season. 10 of those have been for extra bases. Now the 2-2 pitch. He got him on a curveball. Got him looking. Cuas goes down as Adcock goes backdoor.
What a pitch there. He froze him. Just curved it right around the outside corner. Cuas was not expecting that. Clearly looking for a heat. He'd seen the rest of the at-bat. And Adcock able to get the strikeout.
And Adcock, who, as we mentioned, had been struggling on those off-speed pitches, finally able to muster something good. And I think Cuas, who had seen About 6 fastballs in a row. Didn't know what to look for. He goes down. Cronenworth over at third base is trying to warm up his shoulder, waving around in circles. It is chilly today. It's one of those days that when you make contact with the ball, when you're at the plate, it's just going to kill your hands. First pitch to Martir, up and away.
Absolutely. It's got to sting out here today. It's chilly. I don't think that's going to change by the end of the game. It's windy, so it's one of those games that, the announcer said it was a beautiful day for baseball. I'm not sure I agree.
Bob Vergalis, the PA announcer here, many of you at home will recognize him as being the voice of Tigers baseball over at Comerica Park, as well as Michigan basketball at Chrysler. Adcock comes set for the 1-0. Checks the runner twice at second. And he comes to the plate. That one's low, 2-0. Adcock continuing to struggle. 5 hitters in a row now with a first pitch ball. Maryland in their road reds today. They've seen 3 different uniforms out of the Maryland Terrapins so far this weekend. They had all grays for the first game yesterday, switched to a black uniform, black tops, gray pants yesterday. For the second game today, white pants and a cardinal red. Curveball gets the outside corner. Martir doesn't like the call. He's having some words with the umpire.
He's got a little Nomar Garcia para to him outside of the batter's box there, just undoing and redoing his batting gloves after each pitch.
It's nervousness. He also has, looks like an extra pair of gloves in his back pocket. Maybe those are the base running gloves. Martir, a hefty man there. Pudgy for even for a catcher. Fastball low, 3-1 now the count. Martir, a junior out of Brooklyn, New York, 5'11", 215.
Gotta expect he's going to be looking fastball here at 3-1. Adcock doesn't want to put him on.
And Martir, we mentioned the power performance of Quas as Martir fouls that one straight back into the parking lot. Martir, a 333 hitter on the season. He has 6 doubles of his own as well as 3 home runs. So much like Quas, able to get some meat behind the ball. Now he faces a 3-2 pitch with 2 outs. The runners will be in motion. Adcock comes to the plate high. And Martir walks. Bases loaded now for Adcock. Nobody warming up in the Michigan bullpen yet. But then again, there's always the possibility that there's a guy or two down there in the indoor clubhouse. Wolverines, one of their biggest advantages playing at home is that in these early season games, when it's still basically winter, they're able to go down to that clubhouse. They have an indoor hitting facility. They have an indoor bullpen, and they're able to go warm up in there, whereas players from opposing teams, all they have is the heaters in the dugout to try and keep warm. And when they're going to be working and warming up, as Adcock deals high, another ball. Tim Lewis at the plate now, 261 hitter on the season. Maryland pitchers, well, any road pitchers would have to be forced to warm up in the outdoors. Curveball misses up. 2-0 now from Adcock. And, just for perspective, down in the Maryland bullpen area are still snowbanks left over from the winter. The grounds crew clears everything over towards the visitor side of the field, and so they're beyond the outfield wall down there in right field, but there are snowbanks in the Maryland bullpen. 2-0 pitch from Adcock. Swing and a miss. Looked like an off-speed pitch from Adcock.
Almost in the same place there as the first two. But he got him to swing on that one.
And in an inning like this where the pitcher just has absolutely struggled to get stuff over the plate, and another fastball inside corner swinging strike, 2-2. In an inning like this where it's really on the pitcher that, he's gotten himself into the jam, it's you'd expect it to be on the hitters to be the ones that make the mistakes and get out of the inning. Lewis, swing and a miss. Adcock shuts him down. He loads the bases on 3 walks he still has a no-hitter.
Threes are wild there. 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Adcock with an interesting inning to say the least, but Michigan escapes unscathed.
Adcock comes in, making his 7th start on the season, and he loads the bases through nearly 30 pitches in that inning, and walks the bases loaded and manages to strike out 3 hitters. So we're going to go to the bottom of the first. Maryland and Michigan tied at 0. Willie Rios going to be the starting pitcher for the Terrapins in this one. Willie Rios, a freshman, 6.28 ERA on the season. 1 win, no losses in 5 appearances. Started 3 games, 14 1/3 innings pitched. Has 15 strikeouts to 4 walks, so he does have apparently pretty good command from the mound. Willie Rios, a freshman out of Waterford, Connecticut. 6 foot tall, 199 pounds, a left-hander. So we got lefties dueling here on Sunday afternoon.
And Rios was drafted in the 26th round of the MLB draft by the Arizona Diamondbacks. So this is a guy with big eyes, perhaps, and looking to bigger and better things following Maryland baseball.
Yeah, frequently the decision of high schoolers to come to the college ranks after being drafted is a tough one, but kind of the later a guy is picked, the more likely they're going to end up going to their college team. And in the case of Willie Rios, you'd expect that the decision was mainly so that he can really develop his skills, because sometimes it's more fun to go to college and play for a college team, get that. There's more of a team mentality, more camaraderie than there would be playing in the minor leagues, going all over the place.
Absolutely. And with Rios, he was drafted in the 26th round. It wasn't exactly like this guy was one of the first guys off the board. So probably thinking college the whole way.
And, of course, players become eligible after their junior season, redshirt sophomore if they do end up becoming a redshirt, taking a year off. But, that development can be a big deal in back in the day in 50s, 60s, everybody was out of high school. There was really nothing to speak of players going to college to play baseball and then making the transition. And now, that average has kind of shifted a little bit to the point where it's almost 60-40 in favor of college baseball players, just because college gives them the development, and college baseball players really do, the high school players really do prefer in many cases to play college ball, because you're getting a free education and you're not living that road life on very little pay throughout your minor league career. And then when you do end up getting drafted and going to the minors, you're only there for a year or two before eventually, moving up and generally players will spend a year at each level, the better ones, before making it to the show. Cronenworth takes low 1-0 from Rios. Rios winds and fires, hits the outside corner with a strike. Rios, very conservative motion, very simple. Has a lot of balance in that motion from the left side, working from the left side of the mound. 1-1 pitch. Cronenworth lays down a bunt. This one could be good. Rios fields it, throwing off balance. Cronenworth in there with an infield single to lead off the game. Cronenworth had a big day yesterday in the 10-1 win. He had a 2-run home run in the 3rd inning and then a 3 RBI bases clearing triple.
Beautiful bunt there. Just laid it down the third base line, put it right in between Krause at third base and Rios on the mound, and just able to beat it out with good speed.
That triple came in the 5th inning. Started off the scoring in that 5th. It took nearly 45 minutes before things were all said and done. The first 7 Wolverines made it on base. Scored 8 runs in the inning. Now Bivens comes to the plate.
Rios working quickly here early on. He seems to be not dilly-dallying out there on the mound, looking to just get right back in.
Rios comes set. Checks Cronenworth at first. Cronenworth stutter steps but stays put, and the fastball goes low. 2-0 now to Jake Bivens. 2-0 pitch, low and away, 3-0 now. The count to Jake Bivens. Bivens, 293 hitter on the season. Doing pretty well for a freshman. He's been playing shortstop in the stead of Travis Mazes. Mazes has been injured these last couple of weeks, and Bivens has done a nice job coming in, basically more or less replicating the production of Mazes. Maybe not quite as much power, but doing a good job for a freshman, taking the spot of a junior and one of the biggest team leaders for Michigan. Bivens squares to bunt, 3-0. He pulls back. The ball gets away. Cronenworth rounded.
And who do you blame that one on? Because that's going to be. Is they going to call that a strike? I believe so, because he would have taken his base thus far.
Not clear. The scoreboard may have been incorrect on that. Counts as 3-0 on the scoreboard. Our stats have not been updated here in the press box. Count still says 3-0 on the scoreboard. Bivens staying put, apparently with a 3-0 count. Cronenworth at second base, though. Bivens squares again to bunt. Pulls back. That one's in there for a strike. 3-1 now, the count on the scoreboard. Rios comes set. Wade flapping his jersey. Comes to the plate. That one's low and away, and Bivens finally on with a walk. That'll bring up Jackson Glines with no outs here in the bottom of the first. And the key to that 8-run inning yesterday was really just Michigan strung hits together. Maryland's pitchers did have control issues. Apparently, Willie Rios having control issues here in the early going, but it really boiled down to just guys being consistent at the plate and one after the other being able to follow up on each other's successes. Really a team effort there. Quick pick played over to second. Cronenworth easily in with a head first slide.
And this is a great situation for the Wolverines to be in right here with two guys on. This guy, Jackson Glines, at the plate. He's been red hot to start season. It's 453 average so far.
Yeah, for a long while, he was leading the Big Ten in batting average. Glines squares the bunt, pops it up, laying out behind the backstop is the catcher Martier, just out of his reach, and falls for a strike. That's not a really good bunt by Glines. That's dangerous there. And there's really two schools in bunting. It's the school that says getting the bunt down and getting the runner over is smart because it puts a runner in scoring position. Then there's the other school that says a mistake happens all the time. And I think, that's a good argument right there for that second school.
Especially with such a great hitter at the plate. This is a guy who's probably the best hitter on the Wolverines right now, and he's in a good situation. I'd let him swing the bat.
Typical backage ball to try and play small ball, even just in the first inning. Fastball low, looked like the catcher was set up out of the squat, maybe looking to throw out a runner or calling for the ball high, but ball came back low. Rios would love to get a double play ball right here. Glines standing right over the plate, his hands over that inner third. Glines takes away, looked like a pitch out there. Count moves to 2-1. Now the 2-1 pitch. Rios checks Cronenworth and steps off. Looks Cronenworth back to the base.
Really worried about Cronenworth back there. We saw him bluff on that last sort of pitch out.
Cronenworth has quite a bit of speed over there at second. 6 stolen bases on 11 attempts this season. Rios comes set and checks Cron. Fastball grounded up the middle. That's through. Cronenworth coming round third, and he's going to score standing up. Bivens moves up to second base on the RBI single by Jackson Glines, and Michigan out to an early 1-0 lead here in the first.
Nice piece of hitting there by Glines. Just stroked it right back up the middle. Plates the runner from second. Good start here for the Wolverines.
I was saying Rios would love to get a ground ball here because that would be likely for a double play. But when a guy hits it right back up the middle, a screamer, nothing really Rios could do about it. Nothing either of the middle infielders could get to in time. And that'll bring up Benedetti. No outs here. 1-0 lead for Michigan. Benedetti squared to bunt and then pulls back and calls time, steps out.
He got something in his eye there.
Yeah, it looks like there might be a bit of dust. The wind's coming right in at his face. Benedetti back in now, ready to go. Line drive into the gap. That one's down. Bivens rounding third. He got held up, but went through his coach's signal. In sliding at home, he's safe.
If it scores you a run, I guess you can do that. But a good piece of hitting there by Benedetti to take it the other way. Didn't try and fight the pitch. Just stroked it right over the outstretched arm of the shortstop into left field for a base hit.
So the Wolverines back-to-back RBI singles. They now have a 2-0 lead. Belanger, the pitching coach for Maryland, going to come out and have a word with Willie Rios. There's a pitcher down in the Maryland bullpen. Looks like a lefty from here, about 400 feet away.
Rios has really struggled to this point. We've seen bouts where he just can't get the ball over the plate and bouts where he's left it over for Michigan to just sort of stroke it into the outfield. Not a good start for the young freshman.
And a quick mound visit. Belanger going to step back, going to walk back, I should say, to his dugout after a quick meeting. Martir lingering there for a few more moments, try and settle his pitcher down. Martir, as a junior, you know, he knows how to deal with a loose cannon freshman, or you'd expect him to at least know how to settle down a pitcher. But Martir obviously being plagued by the same cold that Brett Adcock was in the first inning.
Absolutely, cold has to be a factor. We've seen lack of control from both pitchers today.
So Bruder comes to the plate. He squares the bunt, pulls back on an outside fastball. 1-0 the count. Bruder, a junior college transfer out of California. Similar story to Jackson Glines, coming out of a community college, coming up to Ann Arbor. He lays down a bunt. That one's down there safely. He could beat it out. He does! And the Wolverines now with bases loaded.
Small ball playing off here. That's the second time the Wolverines have bunted for a base hit in his first inning alone, and now they'll have the bases loaded.
And that goes down to the coach's teaching. You know, a coach that's able to teach guys to bunt that well, get balls right on the line.
And some of it has to be situational. You know, Kraus had to be at third base to try and get the runner out there, so they were able to lay it down. It was just Rios who had to play on, and he was able to beat it out.
And now looks like a pitching change going to come for Maryland, and also Jusic announced as a pinch hitter. So Ryan Newtoff originally set to be the designated hitter, not even going to get an at-bat. Jusic, not really much of a surprise given the fact that he is an experienced hitter. But Willie Rios chased early, going to get high fives as he comes to his own dugout. He is not happy with that.
Not the best start here for him today.
So Jusic, 267 hitter. He'll be coming to the plate against a lefty. Looks like number 25, Taylor Stiles, coming in.
And Rios will still be on the hook for the three guys, for all three ducks on the pond right now.
That's true.
So it could look disastrous on the stat line for him today.
Taylor Stiles, a sophomore left-handed pitcher, 6'2", 223 out of Bowie, Maryland. He has 2 wins, 2 losses on the season, 19 innings pitched, 23 strikeouts to just 4 walks. Though he does have, a 5.21 ERA. 147 the whip, giving up a 300 batting average with runners on. And so Taylor Stiles going to get settled in here.
Kind of a sidearm delivery there.
Yeah,
for
looks
Stiles.
like a about a 3/4, maybe a little bit lower than a 3/4 delivery. And with Michigan having several left-handers in their batting order, top 4 are all lefties, as well as Jusick and Lugbauer. This is a strategic move. Obviously, Willie Rios was a left-handed pitcher, but he didn't really have the stuff today. Taylor Stiles maybe going to give them a better opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you're a left-handed hitter, how much more does that affect you seeing the ball coming from, more the first base side rather than over the top from a left-handed pitcher?
I think it makes it a lot harder to track those breaking balls. You'd have those sliders and those curves from the lefty, and it's just hard as a left-handed hitter to, get around on those. And it really makes it more difficult at the plate. I'm not going to say it's entirely impossible. There are guys that are lefties that can hit lefties very well, but certainly a added complexity, if you will.
Yeah, the stat splits aren't part of our normal statistical package, though we wish we could give you the, righty-lefty matchup. In any case, Jusick steps to the plate now with the bases loaded, no outs. 2-run lead for Michigan early in the first. First pitch from Stiles in there for a strike.
A rare first pitch strike in this one.
A lot of movement on that fastball coming across the plate. One-0 pitch, a line drive down the line. That's going to get past the right fielder. 1 run's in. Benedetti coming home. He scores. And Jusick clears the bases with a 3 RBI triple. Michigan, a 5-0 lead here. Back-to-back days with 5+ run innings, and it's not over. Wolverines, no outs here. Runner on second with Kevin White coming to the plate.
What a start. What a great piece of hitting by Jusick there. He just drove it down the line, right into the corner out there in right field. Took a while for the Maryland outfielder to corral it, and just enough time for all 3 Michigan Wolverines to come around and score from the base paths.
Yeah, all the outfielders playing reasonably shallow today. The right fielder, Tim Lewis, playing more or less 3/4 of the way towards the second base, the baseline between second and third base. So that one down the line had trouble getting to it. All 3 runners able to score. That brings up Kevin White swing and a miss on an off-speed pitch. And so Willie Rios, now the final line, plus innings pitched, 0+ innings pitched, 5 runs given up, and 4 hits allowed.
That's got to hurt the ERA.
Kevin White stepping in for the 0-1. That one misses low. Now a 1-1 count for Kevin White. Kevin White, a lot of power on that bat. Just 2 home runs on the season, but he's electric. 1-1 pitch. Inside and low, 2-1. Martir working hard back there, try and keep everything in front.
Perhaps after getting burned in that first at bat, Stiles trying to really not give White anything to hit here. So perhaps being a little too cautious and delivering that one outside and low.
And that was just a spectacular piece of hitting by Jusick. Getting that inside pitch and driving it down the line, clutch piece of hitting there.
Indeed.
2-1. Swing and a miss off speed on the outside corner. Kevin White, big swing there. Going on top of it as it dropped low. And now a 2-2 count. Kevin White does strike out a bit. 20 strikeouts in the season on 55 at-bats, so more than a third of his at-bats are strikeouts. The 2-2 pitch. Inside corner, just misses. Nice frame job by Martir. He turns around to have a discussion with the umpire, asking if it was low or inside.
Perhaps trying to set up a pitch more to the outside here for the 3-2 pitch. Look for him to try and paint the outside corner.
Stiles could go backdoor. The payoff pitch. Swinging a foul off his foot. Looked like Martir was shaded towards that outside corner. And Kevin White did a nice job of reaching out and fighting it off. Kevin White working with a 3-2 count here. Trying to extend the Wolverines' already large first inning lead. 5-0 to score here. Bottom 1, first inning. In Ann Arbor, you're listening to WCBN Sports. 3-2 pitch from Stiles. Outside corner, he misses. And Kevin White moves on to first base with a walk. First and second here for Drew Lugbauer, highly touted freshman.
And Styles not shown any better command than the other two pitchers we've seen today. So cold certainly playing a factor here.
Yeah, Lugbauer, freshman out of Pleasant Valley, New York. We were talking about how Rios was drafted by the Diamondbacks last year. Lugbauer drafted himself by the Blue Jays. Obviously electing to come here. He steps in with runners on first and second. No outs. Grounder right back up to the middle. Styles throws to second, gets one there. Throw is low. And Lugbauer on safely after the fielder's choice. So it's going to be first and third. One out now. Jusic moved up to third base.
Good play by Byan. Good play by Byan. Took over there at first place to get in front of that and make sure it didn't get by him. That could have played another run for the Wolverines there. Although they were not able to get the out on the play.
Yeah, just a little bit too slow developing when those grounders come back to the pitcher. That's a little bit more distance than a routine double play flip. So that'll bring up Jacobson. Wolverines, if Jacobson's able to reach, Wolverines would bat around for the second day in a row. Jacobson at the plate with one out here. Choking up on the bat a little bit. Looking to get a little bit of contact. Get another run in. First pitch in the dirt. Nice block by Martir. Both runners stay put. Not any real motion from either of them, any aggressiveness. And Jacobson is looking into the dugout to get a sign from Coach Bakich. Bakich, in the past two seasons, was the third base, standing down at third base during the offensive outings as Jacobson takes a backdoor curve for a ball, 2-0. Now this season, Bakich in the dugout for when Michigan's at the plate. Jacobson gets a sign, steps back in. Lugbauer getting a moderate lead over at first base. Jacobson takes on the inside corner. A little bit of break on that fastball.
Looked a little low there to me, but umpire called it a strike.
Swinging a grounder right to first base. They flip to second. Got one there. Back to first, and they got the out. Jacobson clearly upset with himself. But the Wolverines score 5 runs here in the first inning. We go to the second with the Wolverines up 5-0. And Brett Adcock, who struggled in that first inning, now going to have a little bit of a cushion, maybe a little bit more comfortable now that he had a little time to warm up, although with that long inning, we could see him maybe struggle a little bit coming back to the mound, have to get re-warmed up.
It was interesting because those first innings for each team kind of developed the same way, where you had dangerous situations based mostly on a lack of control from the pitchers, but the Wolverines were able to get the hits they needed to play some runs while Adcock was able to pitch out of it. So interesting to see if he can continue to pitch out of it, if he'll find the control here in the second inning.
So just a refresher, Adcock loaded the bases all on walks, still hasn't given up a hit, and then proceeded to strike out the side. So 3 strikeouts, 3 walks today.
Virtually unhittable. No balls put in play.
And today, you would have expected runs to be at a premium with the weather as cold as it is, the wind blowing in as stiffly as it is, the flags out there in left center field. We can see the American flag right in between Ray Fisher and Alumni Field, and then also several smaller Michigan flags along the top of the press box at Alumni Field. All of them at full attention, standing there in the wind. And the wind basically blowing straight in from left center. Shifted a little bit. It originally was from center. So Adcock comes back to the mound. It's going to be Papio, Biondic, Jankarski for the Terps. Terrapins sent 6 men to the plate in that first inning.
Opportunity here perhaps for Adcock to get a quick inning with facing the bottom third of this Maryland lineup.
Just looking at comparisons, Maryland sent 6 to the plate, scored no runs, didn't even get a hit. Wolverines sent 9 to the plate, scored 5 runs on 5 hits. First pitch from Adcock coming back, and it's a strike right over the heart of the plate, a fastball, and
a first pitch strike, more importantly.
That's the first one we've seen all day out of Adcock. Maybe settling in now that he has the lead, he's going to be a little bit more comfortable. 0-1 pitch, a curveball in there for a strike. That was a beautiful pitch. Cut it across the plate, getting the outside corner to a left-handed hitter in Papio.
Back-to-back great pitches. Now you got to waste one. Make Papio chase.
The 0-2. Just below the knees, 1-2 the count. Papio, 333 hitter on the season, slugging a monster 578. Also batting 458 when leading off an inning. The 1-2 pitch. Curveball chopped right back to Adcock. Adcock takes his time, fires over to first. 1 up, 1 down in the second. Adcock settling in now. Got off to a really rocky start and finding his groove a little bit.
Definitely a great at-bat there to start the inning. Starting off back-to-back great pitches. Got into ground one harmlessly back to the pitcher. Good start. Hopefully he can continue that.
That'll bring up Kevin Biondic, first baseman for the Terps. 222 the batting average on the season. Fastball up and in. Misses for a ball 1-0. One-0 pitch. In there for a strike. Fastball working the knees, Adcock. And that's where you got to live, right around the hollow, just where the kneecap kind of kicks back in towards the shin. That's where catchers love to have their pitchers, because it forces hitters to swing down on the ball, and it induces a lot of ground balls, especially if you're able to work from the top down, utilize the full 18 inches that the mound gives you, get a better angle. Ball gets away from Lugbauer, 2-1 the count. Adcock winds and fires. Up high, 3-1.
Not where you wanted. Just the opposite of what you said there with that pitch. And this is a dangerous, powerful Maryland team, so you really got to keep the ball down.
And the pitching coach has got to be worried about kind of the inconsistency. Some of the pitches, the mechanics are beautiful. As Adcock deals the 3-1, this one lined into the gap, making a nice diving catch.
What a play out there.
Cody Bruder laying out full. Sprawl to his left is Cody Bruder in left center field. I thought that one was going to be down.
Looked like it was destined for a double out there. Bruder got a great break on it, a full extension, able to make a play. What we talked about in the first inning, Adcock has to trust his defense behind him. Michigan is an excellent defensive team. And he's got to let guys hit it, let the ball be put in play.
So that brings up Jankarski. Jankarski just one at bat on the season. That came as a pinch hitting appearance yesterday in the first game. First pitch to Jankarski outside for a ball, 1-0. Jankarski, a freshman for the Terps. Squares to bunt, pulls back on a ball up and away. 2-0 now the count to Zach Jankarski. 1 RBI on the season, though, so perhaps a sacrifice fly earlier on. 2-0 pitch, fastball outside for a ball, 2-0, 3-0, And Adcock doesn't want to lose to the bottom hitter. Called back on a strike. He was starting to walk towards first base.
Yeah, you got to just put these ones over here. Throw some strikes, let him hit the ball.
Low, the leadoff hitter, staying on deck. Now the 3-1. Squares to bunt, lays it down, right to Adcock. Adcock picks it up, fires to first, just in time. Wolverines get him 1-2-3. And after sending 6 to the plate in the first, Wolverines now have just faced the Maryland lineup just once on the day.
Adcock doing a little bit of everything there. Got made 2 outs himself. Got some help from Cody Bruder out in left field, and a good inning for the Wolverines there defensively.
Yeah, Cody Bruder, spectacular catch out there in left center field, keeping the runners off the base paths, and so now the Wolverines going to go back to the bats. They have a 5-0 lead. We're going to the bottom of the second here in Ann Arbor. You're listening to WCBN Sports. I'm Eli Sherman with Dan Disler for the rubber match, Maryland and Michigan. Taylor Stiles returns to the mound for his second inning of work. He was credited with recording all 3 of the outs in that first inning after Willie Rios came in and really struggled. Rios credited with all 5 of the runs allowed in this game.
Yeah, outside of that pitch, the mistake he made to Jusic, which was really just a great piece of hitting, as we talked about. Stiles looked pretty solid. He was able to, relatively keep things in check, do a little bit of damage control for Maryland.
Yeah, and for the second day in a row, Michigan had a really good inning going. 1 out happened, and then somebody grounded into a double play. That's how that 8-run inning in the 5th ended for the Wolverines yesterday. Almost ready to go here for the bottom of the second. Cronenworth going to be coming back to the plate. 2 innings, 2 at-bats. When you're a hitter, it's pretty fun to be able to hit inning after inning, get several chances. Cronenworth singled in the first, ended up scoring.
He had that nice bunt down the third base line. They played a lot of small ball in the first. It has been Bakic's calling card. We'll see if they look to do it here again.
Yeah, they won't necessarily have to, with a 5-run lead, have a little bit more wiggle room in terms of being able to be aggressive. Cronenworth takes a ball outside 1-0. Cronenworth now hitting .314 on the season. Takes a strike on the outside corner. Nice pitch to paint the black there by Stiles. One. Swinging a drive into deep right field. Could get over the head of the right fielder. He tracks backpedaling just in front of the warning track and makes a catch. Wynn definitely did a lot to knock that one down.
Exactly. Got a nice piece of the bat on that one. Drove it out to right field, took it, pulled the ball there, but the wind knocked it down. Perhaps a hard day to get one out of this ballpark.
Yeah, he got really good contact on that, hitting it right on the sweet spot. That'll bring up Bivens. Bivens walked in the first. Took advantage of the struggling command of Willie Rios. He takes a strike there from Taylor Stiles. Swinging a pop foul into the Michigan bullpen onto the roof of their hitting facility there. There is a catcher standing down in the bullpen. Doesn't look like any action going on.
Adcock did use a lot of pitches to get to this dude's first inning, so there has to be something on the Wolverines' mind.
And Bivens lines this one a little bit closer to fair territory, but also foul and out of play. 0-2 quickly the count on Jake Bivens. Yeah, Adcock, 52 pitches through 2 innings. So he will likely have a short leash. Bivens reaches out and grounds this one to short. Nice play made there by Kevin Smith, fielding and throwing him out at first.
Looked like he almost slap hit that like you would in softball there from Bivens.
Yeah, a little piece of 2-strike hitting, just trying to get contact. Looked like he was trying to fight it off, but ended up making too good of contact and went into fair territory. And so Kleins comes to the plate now. Michigan didn't get an out until their 7th hitter in that first inning. Already 2 here after 2 in the bottom of the second. Kleins takes away 1-0. Stiles has done a nice job shutting down the Wolverines so far. Coming in with a breaking ball. Cuts across the plate for a strike. 1-1 now, the count to Kleins.
Kleins looked like he didn't expect that one there. Probably thinking fastball frozen there.
1-1 pitch is low. 2-1 now for Kleins. Kleins started off the scoring in the first with an RBI single to the left field gap. 2-1. Curveball taken inside. Nearly hit him on the inside corner. Glines really clouds the plate. We saw in the midweek game he had a curveball, took a curveball that hit him almost in the numbers because it just didn't break enough, and also he was in on the plate. 3-1 now the count. Pitch. Swinging a foul straight back.
Big change of speeds there from the curveball to the fastball for Styles. And Glines looked like he was just a little bit late. Otherwise, he would have been ripped that one to the outfield.
Now 3-2 with 2 outs. Benedetti on deck if it gets to him. Payoff pitch. Jammed him, but he's able to fight it off for a single in the center field. Glines 2 for 2 on the day.
He's living in that center field area. The first time he hit a ground ball, a screamer right back off the middle through the infield to center field. This time he just floats one right over to shortstop in center field. Finds a way to get a hit and get on base.
And now Benedetti going to come to the plate. He had a single. Ended up hitting in Bivens in the first inning. Benedetti, nice offensive performance so far this season. 326 the batting average. And 472 his slugging percentage. Takes a strike 0-1. Nice breaking pitch from Styles.
We saw him go the other way the first time. We'll see if he can do that again. It looks to pull the ball here.
Swing and a miss on a changeup in the dirt. 0-2 now the count.
Looked like he took his backhand off almost immediately there. Big one-handed swing from Benedetti.
Yeah, almost hesitant, but knew he should have held up, but just had to commit. Swing and a miss. Almost the same pitch. A little bit higher off the ground, but Benedetti goes down swinging on that curveball.
Looks fooled there.
And the Wolverines are out in the second. They did get one extra hit. Jackson Glines, nice piece of 2-strike hitting, getting that blooper into center field. But nothing comes of it. Wolverines will take the field again. Adcock coming back out to take the mound. Wolverines with a 5-0 lead here. Top 3 in Ann Arbor. You're listening to WCBN Sports. Eli Sherman with Dan Disler. And Dan Disler noticing, pointing out to me that the Wolverines have their stretch crew going out in left center field. On cold days, particularly Coach Bakich likes these guys to stay loose. That one, apparently rock, paper, scissors. Went out there and had a nice game of rock, paper, scissors. Now coming back in. Quick stretch crew session out there.
Kind of like it, keep the guys in the toast.
Yeah, when you watch the stretch crew, it only happens every 2 or 3 innings, but when you watch them, it's basically something different every inning. Every time they go out there, they'll repeat stuff, throughout the weeks of the season, but from game to game, there isn't too much redundancy. One of the more interesting ones, sometimes they do, kind of a hockey game that normally comes in the later innings if they're up, and it's celebratory. They have, a shootout that goes. One guy will play goalie and everybody else scores on him. A lot of acting that goes on there. A lot of character in this Wolverines baseball team. Ready to go on top of the third. Brandon Lowe coming back to the plate. He walked in the first, got stranded at third base after Adcock shut down the side. He's a .389 hitter on the season, was named the Big Ten preseason player of the year.
And he has almost certainly lived up to the hype thus far. He's got 5 home runs, 37 hits. As you mentioned, he's hitting .389. Great start for him.
Fouls the first one back over the press box, 0-1. 0-1 pitch, up and away, 1-1. And, all day looking down towards the Michigan clubhouse, they've been going in and out throughout the innings. 1-1 pitch, a curveball right in over the heart of the plate. Lowe looked surprised by that one. 1-2 now. Wolverines going in and out of the clubhouse, trying to get warm every few minutes. They basically have free reign to go there whatever they want throughout games. 1-2 pitches, low and away, 2-2. Looked close, but
Adcock wanted that one.
But I'd say it was a pretty good call by the umpire.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit too far out. Lugbauer might have been able to do a better job of framing it. Now the 2-2 pitch. That one low and in the dirt. Lugbauer had to block. 3-2 now the count to Brandon Lowe.
Good patience by Lowe. This is a guy who's walked 16 times this season out of 95 at bats. He's got a good eye. He's a great hitter. He's tough to get out.
Payoff pitch. Up, and Lowe walks for the second time today. And Adcock going to step off and take a deep breath.
Lowe had 2 strikes on him there, and he was able to wait it out, make Adcock pitch to him, and he gets the walk out of it. Certainly a sign of a good hitter.
Yeah, he's able to fight off the bad pitches on 2 strikes, but I should say the bad pitches that are good enough to be called strikes, but not good enough to be something he wants to hit. And he's able to work the count.
Big lead at first by Lowe.
Smith at the plate. He walked as well back in the first inning. Adcock comes to the plate. Curveball in the dirt. 1-0. Smith, a .265 hitter. He's another guy that works the walk a little bit, has 13 walks on the season. Adcock throws over to first base. In easily is Brandon Lowe.
Impressive for Smith to be able to draw that many walks early on. He's a freshman. Just the fact that he's able to show that much patience early on in his career is pretty impressive.
1-0 pitch from Adcock. Fastball outside. 2-0 now the count to Smith. And, you know, the Demons are returning a little bit. The top of the order really worked him well in that first inning. Drew 3 walks. 2-0 pitch in there for a strike.
Looked like Smith was taken all the way there. That was a good pitch to hit potentially.
But, you know, if you're a hitter and you've already committed to taking, it's better not to try as Adcock throws over to first and safely again is Low. Better not to try and change your mind, because that's when you kind of lose focus on the pitch. You're not going to make good contact if you do decide to swing.
Certainly, with Adcock struggling with his command thus far, not a bad idea to just make him throw it over.
Adcock, quick throw over to first again. Benedetti isn't wearing sleeves. Earlier I had said that Kevin White was the only one, but looks like Benedetti is going to brave the cold too.
Good for him.
Insane. 2-1 pitch. Squares to bunt, pulls back on an inside pitch. 3-1 now the count to Kevin Smith, and Adcock going to have to get one in there. He's battling not to lose yet another hitter. Already has 4 walks on the day, 3 in the first, 1 here in the third. 3-1 pitch. Swing and a miss on a high fastball. Would have been ball 4. Count moves full. Cronenworth over at third has his hand in his back pocket trying to keep it warm. Doing some stretches in between pitches. Payoff pitch. Low. Smith walks.
Struggling again with this top of the order. They're making him beat him. They're making him make good pitches to get him out. And so far, Adcock has not been able to do that against the top of the order guys.
And Lugbauer and Jacobson going to come in to the mound and have a conversation with Adcock, try and settle down the sophomore. Jacobson, one of the leaders on this team. He's a senior, one of Bakic's favorite players. Also a member of the Michigan Leadership Council. What they call their captains here. They don't have anybody named a captain, but they do have a leadership council that basically runs the practices. And they're the guys that the team relies on to show everybody the way. Adcock got a Sierra to swing and miss on a fastball. Sierra could not catch up to that one, just waving at it. 0-1.
Now, if you're Adcock, you want to keep the ball down here, perhaps look for a double play.
Low on at second, Smith at first. 0-1 pitch outside. Adcock staring in. Has the left arm extended out away from his body as he looks for the pitch. Foul tip into the glove of Lugbauer. 1-2 now the count.
He's gone fastball twice for 2 strikes here. Interesting to see if he looks maybe to off speed, try and fool him.
Now the 1-2. Swinging a foul.
Oof.
Liner into the Michigan clubhouse.
Scary there for fans in attendance. That one was hit really hard towards the fans.
And so count stays at 1-2 for Adcock. Adcock working with Sierra. Trying to get the first out here in the top of the third. Curveball into the dirt. Sierra almost swung, able to hold up enough. And count moves to 2-2. Both runners stay put as Lugbauer able to control the bounce pretty well. Adcock staring in. Checks the runner at second. Checks him again. Now comes home with it. Swinging a foul back. Nice piece of 2-strike hitting. Fighting that one off. Sierra, another one of these guys with a batting average well above 300.
Well, that one was probably out of the zone there, but good job by Sierra to make contact anyway.
Sometimes you open up your vision of what the strike zone should be with 2 strikes a lot. Have to fight off some things that would have been another ball. Sierra lifts a blooper into the gap in right field. 1 run's going to score. That's low from second. Smith moves over to third, and Sierra in there with an RBI single with no outs here in the top of the third. Adcock going to have to settle down and try and find some consistency.
There goes the no-hitter for Adcock. As Tony has to say the sound of the struggles he's had, but that is the first hit for Maryland. He's watched, I think it's 5 at this point, but that's the first hit, and it plates the first run. So Adcock, perhaps in dangerous waters right here. I'd give him a short leaf of his high pitch count right now.
Yeah, surprising he made it that long without giving up a hit, just with the lack of control. But sometimes it's the runners that get on. The runners are getting on by walks rather than by hits, and then guys aren't getting hits because they're not the balls aren't in the zone. Adcock 0-1 pitch after Quas fouled one out of play. Ball in the dirt, 1-1.
And it looks like there's some action in the Michigan bullpen now. It's freshman righty Jace Van Sina from Ohio, warming up here with Adcock in a bit of trouble here in the third inning.
1-1 pitch from Adcock. Swinging a line drive down the line into the Michigan bullpen. Foul ball. That was a good piece of contact from Quas.
Quas is a powerful guy. He's got 5 home runs on the season. If I'm Adcock, I'm trying to keep him in the ballpark here.
26 RBIs on the year for Quas. Struck out looking back in the first inning. He lines this one into left field. That one's going to get down. 1 run's going to score. Holding up at second is Sierra. And Quas in there with another RBI hit. 2 runs in this inning for the Terps. Still no outs.
Adcock, another hit. Back-to-back hits for Maryland. I'm getting a little worried here if I'm the Wolverines.
That'll bring up Martyr. Lugbauer going to give a few signs to his infield.
Perhaps stalling a little bit there.
And wouldn't be surprised to see a mound visit not too soon, in the not too distant future, I should say, from the coaching staff.
If you're Adcock here, you go look to try and get a double play ball here. Keep the ball low. They've been hitting him to the outfield the last couple of bats.
Looks like Van Sena's ready down there in the bullpen. He definitely had to have been warming up indoors before he came outside, maybe get a little bit of cold shock so that he's ready when he takes the mound. First pitch to Martyr. Adcock steps off. Adcock likes that lift the leg and turn to second move. Keeps the runner honest a little bit.
Perhaps trying to ensure that he can't score from second on a hit to the outfield.
Martir squares to bunt. That one's down. Looks like it's going foul. It is. Cronenworth picks it up. Flips it back to Adcock. 0-1 now the count for the catcher.
Do you think Martir's heading for a bunt for a hit there with his speed?
Oh, I wouldn't expect it. I think Maryland's just playing for another run here, trying to pull within 2.
Absolutely. You can get 2 guys in scoring position with 1 out. That's a good situation to be in. And it also takes away the threat of a double play here.
Tim Lewis, the on-deck hitter, a senior batting .261. Martir squares again. This one foul yet again, bounced off the turf into the glove of Lugbauer. And, I don't know what kind of field that Maryland plays on at home, but if it's not turf, I'd expect them to be not too used to bunting on a turf field. The turf here at Michigan, much bouncier than a standard grass and dirt. Dirt around the plate, grass in the infield, and balls bounce pretty high, particularly with bunts, if you're not able to get it down and make, soften the pitch a little bit. Martir fouls one straight back. 0-2 stays the count.
Absolutely. Perhaps another aspect of the home field advantage here for the Wolverines. We saw them lay down 2 really nice bunts already in this game to get on base, and Maryland so far has not been able to do the same.
Takes quite a bit of touch to do. Also, sometimes the turf can be more slippery than grass. Martir lifts one into left center field. This one going back at the wall, making the catch is Bruder right on the track. Both runners have to stay put, and Bruder doing a nice job to track that one. And man, oh man, if the wind were not blowing in, that would be a 400-plus foot shot down the line.
You got to think so. He got a hold of that one. Bruder, good job not giving up on making a tough catch on the warning track out there and left. But Martir's and this whole Maryland team has got some pop. Something Adcock's better be, because one thing can make this from a 3-run game to a tie game.
That was a nice piece of hitting. Just, I'd say he got under it a little bit, but if it had been lower, might have been off the top of the wall, and the runners might still be running. 1 out now here in the top of the third. First pitch to Tim Lewis is low and away, 1-0. And as I was saying, the turf here, a little bit more slippery than grass. Normally with grass, players are playing with full cleats, and you get a lot more traction than with turf shoes. Turf shoes kind of have smaller rubber spikes on their soles. Fastball in there for a strike, 1-1. 1 out here, top 3. And turf shoes don't give you quite the same type of traction that metal spikes do on a dirt field. 1-1 pitch right on the outside corner for a strike. 1-2 now to Tim Lewis.
Now you got to think he's going to try and keep the ball low here with 2 strikes, potentially get out of this with a double play. Wolverines looking content to stick with Adcock for now.
Adcock comes set. Pitch is low. Count moves to 2-1. Not too much speed from Sierra on second. Sierra, 1 stolen base success on the season, 2 attempts. So if he's going to get moved over, it's going to be on a ball in play. Swinging a looper into center field. Making the catch is the shortstop, Bivens. And running, very curiously, was Sierra. He apparently thought that one was clearly going to be down. Might have been a little bit of the wind knocking that ball down for Bivens to get to. But Sierra was past third base by the time that Bivens made the catch. Bivens easy flip to second base to get the double play. Wolverines able to limit the damage. 2 runs there in the third inning.
Thanks to some not great base running there from Sierra that really gave them a double play. Adcock says thank you very much, but you got to be more conscious of that. A ball in the air, you got to freeze. He was just straight up gone and made a very easy double play for the Wolverines.
And also, while the weather has played to the detriment of the pitchers somewhat today, it also helped Adcock, I should say, out a little bit, as Bruder was able to make the catch right at the warning track just underneath the brick monster out there in left field instead of that ball being long gone. Had the wind even been steady at no wind, that would have been easily a home run, a 3-run shot. Had the wind been blowing out, the ball would be off of the roof of Oosterbaan over there.
I have to agree with you there. That was certainly well hit.
It's Bruder, Jusic, and White for the Wolverines in the bottom of the third. 5-2 their lead. You're listening to WCBN Sports. Eli Sherman alongside Dan Disler.
We'll see Styles again here. He's looked pretty solid in relief so far, eliminating the damage for the Wolverines, and then a nice, strong second inning for him, facing the tough top of the order for the Wolverines.
And following up after this game, the Michigan Wolverines softball team is going to be taking on Iowa, looking for the sweep there over at Alumni Field. The call for that one will be on our WCBN2 YouTube account. So feel free to tune in. First pitch to Bruder is inside, nearly hit him on the knees. 1-0. Bruder steps back in. Styles working quickly. Another one almost hitting him. Bruder having to, kind of step off the plate, avoid the hit by pitch. 2-0 the count now. Quickly, Styles taking his time to get back onto the mound.
It's been
now
a great
he steps back up.
It's been a great game for Bruder so far. We've seen him make some great plays out there in left field defensively, and he's also got a hit on the day.
Takes inside again. All three of them, he's had to bend out the waist and let the ball go under his chest. There's catcher framing of pitches, and there's also kind of hitter framing, being able to take a pitch on the inside corner properly so that it looks more like a ball, looks like it was more inside. Bruder done a nice job of that so far. He took a strike right there. Now a changeup on the inside corner, swinging and missing. Big swing from Bruder. Count moves to 3-2. Bruder had gotten way out ahead 3-0 and now in a tough spot. Bruder stepped back in, wasn't ready yet. Styles already started his motion, had to stop and wait for Bruder to get set again. Bruder doing his best to try and get in Styles' head. Bruder fouls the next one off his foot. Going to take a second to try and regain the feeling back in that ankle. And on a cold day today, that's one of the worst things you can do at the plate is drill one into your own ankle.
Ugh.
He probably won't be able to feel his foot for another 2 or 3 minutes. But he has to step back in. Game has to go on. Full count now to Bruder. Swinging a grounder down the third base line. Goes foul. Nice play by the third base coach. Fielding it on 2 hops. One-handed to his left side. Looked like a shortstop over there.
Good fundamentals. Maybe that's why they made the switch to put Bakich back in the dugout.
3-2 pitch. Fouled straight back. Bruder doing a nice job of fighting these off. Bruder steps back in. 340 the batting average now on the season. 3-2 pitch. Line drive right to second base. He runs out the full way to first base, even though the catch was made by Lowe. 1 out, bottom 3.
Despite the fact that he won't reach base there, you got to say that is a good at bat for Cody Bruder. He worked the count. He was able to stay alive with 2 strikes. He got all the way up to full count and made a nice piece of contact. Just happened to be an atom ball right at the second baseman there.
So Jusic steps in, 1 for 1 on the day. Had a double to score 3 runs back in the first inning. That one, a nice line drive down the right field line. He was the first hitter that Taylor Styles faced back in the third, coming in for Willie Rios. Now lifts one up and out of play, foul ball. 1-1 the count. First pitch was low and in at the knees. 1-1, 1 out. Kevin White on deck. Styles winds and fires. Outside corner for a strike. 1-2 the count.
Look for Juices to possibly look for another ball inside here to pull down the right field line like he did so well the first time. Styles has stayed away from him so far.
1-2. He pulls it down the first base line. Easy chopper for Kevin Biondic. Biondic takes it himself, steps on first base. And there are 2 outs now in the bottom of the third. Kevin White coming to the plate. He walked in the first inning, stranded there after a fielder's choice up the middle. Styles came set and then steps off. Spit something out of his mouth. The breath apparently wasn't right. First pitch to Kevin White now. Swing and a miss on an inside off-speed pitch. And it seems like Styles has Kevin White's number. Everything's been inside and right at the knees, cutting across the plate. Kevin White's been straight swinging, almost golf swinging at everything. Foul ball into the parking lot. That one takes a hard bounce off of a car over there.
Speaking of golf,
still rolling.
Speaking of golf swinging, kind of sliced that one there.
Yeah, Shankopotamus down there at the plate right now. He'll step back in, try and straighten it out with an 0-2 count. Curveball goes backdoor, just misses.
Not a bad pitch by Styles. White, good job to lay off there.
Styles. 1-2 pitch, inside off the shin guard of Kevin Martir, bounces away. 2-2 the count. Lugbauer standing on deck. He grounded out back in the first inning. Ended up reaching on the fielder's choice, Kevin White, the one that was recorded for the out at second base. Now 2-2 count to Kevin White. Styles stepped off again, comes back to the rubber. Here's a pitch. Backdoor again. Styles started running towards the dugout.
As did the whole, it looked like their Maryland team was putting on a bit of a shift there towards the dugout the way they all moved.
Yeah. And Kevin White stays put now with a 3-2 count. Kevin White looking for his second walk of the day. The pitch. Grounded over to shortstop. Slow developing. Third baseman makes the play. Quas throws it over to first. Wolverines go down in the third. Still a 5-2 lead for the Wolverines. Bottom 3 going to the top of the fourth in Ann Arbor.
Wolverines looking a little stagnant offensively. Styles seems to have settled down to things for here for the Terrapins.
Yeah, Styles came in for Willie Rios. Styles now 3 innings on the day in relief, just 2 hits, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. And, of course, one of those hits that he allowed was the RBI triple by Jusic. So his 3 inherited runners all scored, but since then he's done a nice job. Stretch crew running around with their hands in their pockets. Now giving some sort of salute to the left fielder, Bruder.
Interesting routine there.
You know, they did a story about that last season. You know, talking, it was with MGoBlue.com talking about, you know, the different things they do, but the problem with it is none of their routines are the same this year. They have a whole new repertoire, so it's hard to keep track of what they're doing in between innings.
Well, you wouldn't want the opposing teams to pick up on their in between innings practices, so it makes sense that they switched them up. You know, it's like signals.
Yeah, gotta keep the opposing team from being too complacent with what you got. Wind picking up now. The American flag out there in left center is whipping even harder than it was earlier. Get a weather report for you real quick. Papio coming to the plate. He's 0 for 1 on the day. Adcock stays on the mound for the time being. Swing and a miss, off-speed pitch. Papio way out in front of that one. Current forecast in Ann Arbor, 41 and partly cloudy. 17-mile-per-hour winds gusting at 27. And those winds coming out of the south. 0-1 pitch right in at the knees. 0-2 now for Papio. Oh-2 pitch from Adcock. Swinging a foul out of play into the Yost parking lot. You know, talking about the wind, you see the ball, that foul ball in particular, you can really see it because you had kind of a lateral perspective on it. The ball just gets knocked down by the wind. It goes up in the air. Now a line drive into left center field. Bruder tracking back. Had to turn all the way around, ran in a circle out there coming forward. He thought that one was going to be way over his head. Ended up coming back. The wind knocking that down.
Right on cue.
You know, you see the ball go into the air, and then you can almost see it getting pushed.
Good job there by Bruder to do a little do-si-do and stay with that one. Able to track it despite the 360 spin and make the catch.
So that'll bring up Biondic. Biondic, the first baseman, flew out to Bruder in the second. Off-speed pitch outside for a ball, 1-0. Adcock, in his fourth inning of work, made the start today. Had a really long first inning. Thus far, he's at 88 pitches on the day. 1-0 pitch misses away. 2-0 now the count to Biondic. And here in his fourth inning of work, you expect him to have a very short leash. He's thrown a lot of pitches. Won't have too much. Fly ball into right center field. Fielded by Kevin White. He records the out easily. Two out now. In the top of the fourth.
Two decently well-hit balls here for Maryland, both resulting in outs.
Yeah, these balls are, ending up being caught more or less right where the about the depth that the outfielders are standing. But, these are balls that on a normal day would be absolutely smoked. They're making really good contact on Adcock, and
you got to think this is one of his last innings.
Yeah. First pitch to Jankarski inside. Jankarski grounded out to Jusic in the second. 1-0 pitch. Check swing. Looked like it was a strike anyways. 1-1 the count. Adcock working quickly. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Change up just below the knee. Swinging over that one was Zach Jankarski.
Adcock coming right at him here.
And Adcock going to look to shut down Jankarski and the Terps in the fourth. Try and make it a 1-2-3 inning. 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He got him on strikes. And Adcock coming back to the dugout. Getting the Terps 1-2-3 in the fourth. They go to the bottom of the fourth. Wolverines 5-2 lead here at Ray Fisher.
Once again, Adcock able to shut down the bottom third of the lineup for the Maryland Terrapins here. He's dominated them all day long. He's been able to get 2 1-2-3 innings against these guys. And we've seen a solid start out of him. Nothing spectacular, but he's been able to, limit the damage. He started off shaky with his control issues. At this point in the game, he's definitely settled in. He's been looking better. The Terrapins have been hitting the ball hard, as we've talked about all day, but the wind and the Michigan's solid defense has played to the Wolverines' advantage. And so I would say, all in all, if this is his last pitch and his last half inning, is a solid start for Adcock.
Yeah, Adcock, struggled early on, but he's done a nice job to, really, really settle things down. He did give up 2 runs in that third inning, let up a few hits. He's only allowed 2 hits on the day through 4 innings of work. And against, an offense as high-powered, as highly touted as Maryland's, Maryland came into the series ranked 11th in the nation. And to be able to come in and do a decent job, the Wolverines, have only allowed 6 runs on the weekend thus far. Three runs in that first game, 1 in the second, and that 1 came with 2 outs in the 9th inning of what at the time before the home run was a 10-run game, and doing a good job to shut down the Terps.
Yeah, no, great pitching performance so far this weekend in this series. Definitely kept the Wolverines in it. And the offense has been on and off, but if the offense is there and this pitching continues, they could certainly do something.
So Lugbauer going to come to the plate. He's 0 for 1 on the day. He grounded into a fielder's choice back in the first. Takes one low, 1-0 a ball. Styles works quickly. Fastball cutting across the plate, 1-1. And Styles, we've been talking about it all day, has really good motion in that fastball. Not sure if it's a cut fastball or if that's just kind of a two-seamer that rides in on the hands for the right-handers, away from the hands for the lefties.
It makes it tough to pick up, certainly. That's part of what's helped him to slow down this Michigan offense that came out red hot in the first inning.
Lugbauer fouled that one straight back. 1-2 now the count. Steps back in. Swinging a foul. Almost a tip into the glove. Martier just couldn't hold on. Count stays at 1-2. The scoreboard had already reset.
I thought he had that one too.
And now they have to move it back to 1-2. Martier, he's a good defensive catcher. He's going to be a little bit annoyed with himself for not holding on to that one. 1-2 now. Swing and a miss. They get him on the second one.
Second time's the charms there for Terrapins.
Lugbauer goes down swinging.
He continues to struggle here.
And, I think he has the skills. It's just a matter of getting used really to the college level pitching. Of guys in high school, one pitcher will be really good, one pitcher will be more average. And sometimes you're facing pitchers that from personal experience aren't really college caliber players. And so Lugbauer just having to get used to facing off against top-notch guys, every game.
Yeah, it's about that consistency. It's about adjusting to the speed of the game. I think he'll get there. I think everyone thinks he'll get there, but he's not quite there yet.
You hear on the ambient mic there the wind whipping in the background. One pitch to Jacobson. He lines this one into foul territory off another car. And if you're a Michigan baseball fan, you're ever considering coming down here for a game, I personally recommend you park as far from the stadium as you can stand to walk, because everything's in range here. Jacobson grounds one down the first base side to the first baseman, flips to Styles. Nice job of Styles running that J pattern and covering first base. 2 outs here quickly in the bottom of the fourth. Cronenworth coming to the plate now, leadoff hitter on the day. 1 for 2, had a single to start off the onslaught in the first inning. Ended up scoring and flew out to right field on a nice hit. Another one of those hits that, on a normal day would have been down, but today ends up in the glove of a outfielder. First pitch, he squares the bunt, pulls back, in there for a strike. Just didn't like what he saw enough to try and lay it down. And now the infield on alert. A 1 pitch. Swinging a line drive into right center field. Wind kills that one right into the glove of Tim Lewis. 3 up, 3 down for the Wolverines. Bottom 4. We move to the 5th. 5-2 in Ann Arbor.
And you see there, for the first time, or one of the first times there, the wind comes back to haunt the Wolverines. It's haunted the Terrapins, who've been hitting balls to the outfield, high shots all day, and they've just been getting down. But they're solid piece of hitting by Cronenworth. Nothing comes of it.
And it Looks like a new pitcher is going to be coming to the mound. It is Jace Vancina. He was warming up a few innings ago. Vancina, a freshman for the Wolverines. He's out of Millbury, Ohio. 6'5", the righty.
Big kid.
And Vancina, limited appearances so far in his early career. 18 1/3 innings pitched, 0-1 the record, giving up 19 hits, 7 earned runs, 9 strikeouts, 5 walks, 3.44 ERA, 1.33 the whip. In his high school career, had a .71 ERA.
Can't get much better than that.
Made his collegiate debut back in the month of February. Went 5 1/3, gave up 1 run with 4 hits against Davidson. Made the start there. Ended up with a no decision. Also was named the number 48 freshman on the Perfect Games top 100 freshman list for this season. So definitely one of the better recruits coming out of high school this season, coming up to Michigan. And another draft pick on this Wolverines team. He was drafted in the 26th round of last year's draft, drafted by the Rangers.
26 round seems to be a theme here today. We saw Willie Rios taken there, and now we see Vancina here today. So some real MLB quality talent on display here today in this game.
Vancina, 225 pounds, working from the right side, 6'5". And that's one of the big things that conditioning takes its effect on in a guy's first season on campus, trying to put on a little bit of weight, especially the pitchers, so that they can get, more oomph behind their fastball. Vancina deals a fastball low and away, 1-0 to Brandon Lowe. Brandon Lowe up for the 3rd time today. He's walked twice, scored on the most recent trip. Now a grounder over to the right side. Nice sliding stop by Jacobson. Flips to Benedetti at first for the out.
Made that look really easy. That is not an easy play to make going to your left there, stopping on a dime, and able to throw the guy out at first.
And the final line for Brett Adcock, 4 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts, and 5 walks. Pitched 95 on the day. ERA moves to 5.28 on the season. Kevin Smith steps to the plate. Much like Brandon Lowe, he has 2 walks on the day. The second one resulted in a run. First pitch, a ball to Kevin. 1-0 pitch, slung wide and outside, 2-0.
You have to expect this Maryland team, especially the top of the order, to remain patient with this new pitcher. Make him show them that he can throw strikes.
Vancina hits one on the inside corner, 2-1 the count now. Vancina has decent movement on his fastball, has not quite a 3/4 slot, but the ball comes from not a over-the-top angle. Smith reaches out and grounds one past the diving glove of Jacobson, in there with a single.
Both hitters so far for Maryland putting the ball in similar places. Smith a little bit late on that one, but able to just get it by the reach of Jacobson.
Sierra at the plate now. Had an RBI single back in the 3rd inning. First pitch to Sierra. In the dirt. Nice block by Lugbauer. Lugbauer gave Sierra a push as he tried to get around him to get to the ball.
Smith on first base. He can run. He's got 7 steals in the season out of 9 attempts. Look for him to be aggressive on the base paths.
Vancina steps off. Steps back on. Staring at the plate. He comes set. Checks the runner. Now throws over. Smith in safely. Wind whipping around here in Ann Arbor. Encina takes a deep breath, comes set, throws over to first, and he got him! Nice pick play by Jace Vancetta. Kevin Smith not able to get back in time, and they got 2 outs here. Top of the 5th. Count stays at 1-0 for Sierra.
Caught him leading there. Mencina went back to it. He was close the first time, and Smith's probably thinking he's not going to come over here again and able to freeze him, get the out.
Now the 1-0 to Sierra. Grounder up the middle. Nice play by Bivens getting over there. Routine throw to first base. 3 up, 3 down after the nice pick play by Vancetta. Coming in for Brett Adcock and a good start to his relief appearance. Wolverines going to go back to the bats. 5-2 lead here, bottom 5. Halfway done in the rubber match in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Maryland.
You saw Vancetta do a great job keeping the ball on the ground there. All 3 at-bats, even the one that was able to get through. He got the ball on the ground. He was able to get 2 outs out of it. Obviously made up for the hit that he gave up with a great move to first. Good start indeed for his relief work.
And that was a real sly move by Vancetta. It was one of those not quite set moves as he's bringing the foot up, bringing the glove down, and before he really comes to a stop, bringing the back foot off and getting a quick throw over to first base. And Kevin Smith looked like, you're right, he looked like he was kind of leaning towards second base. Maybe he was going to go on the next pitch or so. And instead, big momentum changer in that inning. And the Wolverines are going to go back to the bats, trying to extend their lead. They have 3 runs here. 3 runs not necessarily going to be enough against a really good offensive team. Michigan's more or less shut them down so far, but Maryland can strike quick. Taylor Stiles comes back to the mound for his 5th inning of relief work.
He's been big for the Terrapins today, as we've talked about time and again. He's been solid. He put out the fire in the first inning, and since then he's put up 3 straight scoreless innings. We'll see if he can do it again here when Michigan finally gets to him the second or third time around for most of these hitters.
And so Bivens going to come to the plate. For 1 on the day for the Wolverines. Batting average has dropped to 289. And Stiles, he has made 3 starts this season for the Terps. Bivens takes a strike, 0-1. So he does have a bit of endurance and stamina behind him. 0-1 pitch outside to Bivens, 1-1. One pitch. Stiles deals, hits the outside corner, cutting across the front of the plate. Again, that ball tails away from the left-handed hitters, makes it really hard to hit as it's moving away. Hard to see. 1-2. That one outside, just a little too far. 2-2 now the count for Bivens. Stiles winds and deals. Ground ball to the right side. Routine play for Brandon Lowe. Brandon Lowe flips to first for the out. Jackson Glines comes to the plate with 1 out here, bottom 5. He's 2 for 2 on the day, 2 singles, and an RBI to his credit.
Glines has looked really good at the plate today for Wolverines. Maybe get something started here with just 1 out.
Glines hitting .435 on the season, .529 on base percentage. When you're getting on more than half the time, you're doing something right. Glines a nice patient hitter. Takes the first pitch for a strike, 0-1. Takes inside. Looked like he was going to try and hit that one. Ended up checking. Made the right decision. 1-1 now the count. 1-1 pitch. Swinging a chopper up the middle. Tough play for Kevin Smith, the shortstop. He makes the play. Nice throw coming across to his left. Making that stop just behind the mound and making a quick release throw over to the first baseman Biondic. And Glines retired. 2 outs now for Carmen Benedetti.
Not an easy play at all. Good play by Smith, the shortstop. Close call there at first base. The crowd didn't like it, but they'll be 2 retired here for Benedetti.
Benedetti steps in. First pitch from Styles. Hits the outside corner for a strike. 0-1. Styles been painting that outside corner all day. Came in the first inning for Willie Rios, who was chased without recording an out. Now a line drive to the left field line. Right into the glove of Zach Jankarski. Wolverines out in the 5th. We move to the 6th. 5-2 Wolverines.
Styles continues to shut down this Wolverine offense. Another solid inning of work for him. It'll be interesting to see how much longer they let him go. He does have that starting experience, but 5 innings is a long time for a decent amount of time for any pitcher, let alone a guy who's primarily a reliever.
Yeah, shouldn't be too much longer before he gets gets pulled for a relief pitcher just on the fact that he's thrown a lot. He's at 70 on the day, which again, quite a bit for a relief pitcher. If I'm not mistaken, he also pitched in yesterday's game. Nobody throwing down in the Maryland bullpen just yet. There are a few catchers chilling behind the wall down there, trying to stay out of the wind.
Literally chilling, considering they're right next to those snowbanks.
That is a fact. You know, you gotta almost feel bad for the Maryland dugout. You know, they're right in the path of the wind. No real protection, I guess. You know, they're underground, obviously, a little bit. It is a dugout, but the wind cutting across the field, and you know, the nearest structure that's more than 10 feet tall for them to hide behind is the left field wall, and there's, you know, the wind has a chance to blow down into the field and cut right across the bodies. Wolverines, on the other hand, have a bullpen that's kind of perpendicular to the wind, or a dugout, I should say, perpendicular to the wind, has a little bit more protection down there, and also, of course, they can go to their indoor clubhouse. First pitch from Van Senna, coming back out for a second inning of work. That one in the dirt, gets past Lugbauer. 1-0 the count for Jose Cuas. Cuas had a long fly ball in his last at bat to the left field. This one a looper into right center. That one drops between 3 men. Cuas trying to turn 2. They got the out at second. A pop-up into right field. The wind blew that away from Jacobson, tracking back to his left, just out of reach of White. White picks it up on the run and throws it to second base. Bivens there covering, got Cuas trying to turn the single into a double.
You know, Cuas probably saw Jacobson tracking out there and figured there was no one to cover. Great alertness by Bivens to be there at second base. Good throw by White. Good all-around play to, you know, stop Cuas from being overly aggressive and get the first out of the inning.
So that brings up Martir. Martir in the third had that fly ball that nearly went out, got absolutely knocked down by the wind. Squares to bunt, pulls back. Now the 1-0 pitch from Van Senna. Swinging a foul straight back, up and out of play. 1-1 the count for Martir. And if Martir ends up finishing this one out, he'll have caught 26 innings in under 24 hours. has to be getting tired as this game goes on. 1-1 pitch, a curveball cuts across the plate, a ball. Now the 2-1. Swinging a foul back. Martir took the top hand off the bat. Or excuse me, the bottom hand off the bat. Looked weird swinging with the right hand, a right-handed hitter. Just lost control of that, maybe a little bit of sting as he made contact with the ball. 2-2 pitch from Vancena. Swinging a fly ball, right field. That one pushed way foul. Misses all the cars. Wow.
Cars again in the line of fire, as you mentioned before.
2-2 pitch. He winds, deals, low. Count moves to 3-2. Now the payoff pitch. Curveball. Looked like it just caught the elbow of Martir. Would have been ball 4 anyway, so he's going to head to first base. He has a hitter's pad on that left elbow, so didn't really feel it, I'm sure.
Looked like that curveball forgot to curve, and it hit Martir, and he'll get to first base. Terrapins now have a possible situation to get something going.
Yeah, with the wind whipping like it is, wouldn't be surprised if the curveball is a little bit harder to control today. Goes slower, has a bit of spin on it, so it could get pushed every which way depending on the gust. Now a grounder to first base. They throw to second, get one there. Bivens decides not to throw the first. Smart play as Tim Lewis in there safely. So they get one on the fielder's choice, 2 outs now in the top of the 6th.
Still a good situation for the Wolverines, even though they're not able to turn 2 there. Having a runner on first with 2 out is not the end of the world. Smart play by Bivens to just make the safe play and hold the ball.
And Papio comes to the plate 0 for 2 on the day. Had a grounder back to Adcock in the 2nd inning. And he flew out to Bruder in the 4th. Want to take this time to remind you that Michigan women's softball is going to be starting their game up against Iowa at 3 p.m. over at Alumni Field. And Jeremy Parks will be on the call for that one on the WCBN2 YouTube account. 3 p.m. the start time there. And Asena dealt one outside and low for ball 1. The second one just about the same spot. 2-0 now the count for Papio. Lewis on first. 2 outs here, top 6. Wolverines 5-2 lead in Ann Arbor, trying to win this series in the rubber match. Grounded foul towards the Maryland dugout. 2-1 the count. Wolverines dropped the first one, first half of a doubleheader yesterday. Day doubleheader after a cold out on Friday afternoon. It actually snowed here on Friday.
Yeah.
Not too much accumulation, but certainly an indication of the weather. 2-1 pitch. Batter called time before Vancena went into his motion, and Coach Bakich won't be too happy with the fact that his pitcher had to throw an extra pitch, but count stays at 2-1. Looked like a good pitch, though.
Yeah, no, if I'm Vancena, I'm trying to throw that same exact pitch again.
So the 2-1. Grounded up the middle. This could be 2. Flip to second. There's 2 outs. So
they don't need
would
the
have been 4, but anyways, they get Tim Lewis at second base. You go to the bottom of the 6th. Wolverines with a 5-2 lead here. Vancena doing a nice job in release so far, picking up where Adcock left off. Adcock threw a lot of pitches in that first inning, and the cold took its toll on him, but he managed to get out of there with only 2 runs given up. Struggled with walks all day, gave up 5 walks on the day.
Interesting to see if we'll see Styles here again. It looks like we will.
Styles heading back to the mound. 6th inning of work here in Ann Arbor. Looks like Carmen Benedetti might be heading down to the bullpen for the Wolverines, or the indoor pitching facility, I should say. Heading indoors there. Benedetti didn't have too many pitching appearances last year, but this year he's had a few, acting as kind of a guy to eat up innings here or there, give Michigan's other pitchers a little bit of a rest.
Interesting that this would seem like a situation for him then. Only a 3-run lead. This game is far from over.
So for the Wolverines, it'll be Bruder, Jusic, and White here on the bottom of the 6th. Again, they haven't scored since that first inning. That's been the story these last couple of years since Bakich came to town, is they'll have days where they score a lot of runs all over the place and days where the runs only come in one or two innings and they can't really seem to get consistent hitting throughout the game.
I would look for the Wolverines to play some small ball here if they can get anyone on. Just try and push another run across. Give them, the difference between 3 and 4 is pretty big in this game. And having a 4-run lead could be really nice going the rest of the way.
First pitch from Styles. In there for a strike. Nice breaking ball coming across the zone. Right at the knees. 0-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Inside, off speed. 0-2 now, quickly the count. Coach Bakich is out of the dugout having a conversation with Jusic on deck. A little bit unconventional. You don't see that too often from coaches coming out and kind of running the game from the top step. Fly ball into center field. Under it is Papio. He makes the catch. More or less a can of the corn, even with the wind blowing in as much as it is. And so Jusic comes to the plate, 1 for 2 on the day.
We'll see if Bakich had any tips from there on the top step. He had that big hit off Styles earlier. Maybe look for him to get to him again here.
Jusic steps in. His one hit came earlier off Styles, a nice line drive down the line for a bases clearing double. Bases were loaded at the time. Jusic lines this one foul, almost hits a light post in Michigan bullpen. There is a pitcher warming up. It is Benedetti. He's outside now. Now, we haven't been in the Michigan indoor bullpen, so it's not clear whether or not there's actually a mound in there. It might be that they go inside to throw and get warmed up on flat ground, and then when they actually want to throw off a mound is when they come outside.
Plus, you got to think the cold takes some time to get adjusted to, so throwing outside has to be beneficial.
1-2 pitch inside to Jusic. 2-2 now the count. Benedetti has made one appearance one appearance in Big Ten play. Reading the wrong stat sheet. Now a fly ball into right field. Under it is Tim Lewis. He makes a catch.
Pop that one up there. Another easy play in the outfield.
On the season, 5 appearances by Benedetti. So 8.10 the ERA. And Benedetti could just be a guy that they're looking to develop, maybe give him a chance to improve his mechanics and get work against a good team and maybe contribute further down the road in more extensive appearances before Kevin White steps into the box. Coach Bakich has a few words with him. There's now a pitcher warming up in the Maryland bullpen. Looks like yet another lefty. Both the pitchers so far today for Maryland have been lefties, Styles and Rios. So Kevin White steps in, 2 outs. Takes a strike on the outside corner. Fastball. That one looked pretty flat. We haven't seen that too much today. Fastball's just coming in straight from Styles. Most of the time they're got a little break to them. Kevin White swings and misses on an off speed. About the same spot on that outside corner. Oh-2 pitch. Inside. Looks like there might be a second pitcher down there in the bullpen for the Wolverines. Somebody just running around having a conversation with Benedetti. Line drive on into the glove of Kevin Smith. He makes a catch. Kevin White retired. We go to the 7th. Wolverines leading 5-2. Neither team has scored since the 3rd inning.
Perhaps the pitchers adjusted to the cold. Styles seems to have settled in here. The control seems to be back for both sides. And the offense has pretty much stopped as a result of that.
And neither team has had a hit since the 5th. Looking at the play-by-play, Wolverines went 1-2-3 in the 6th, 1-2-3 in the 5th, 1-2-3 in the 4th. They haven't had a runner on since the 2nd inning. So the Wolverines actually really getting shut down by Taylor Styles of late. Update you on out-of-town scores.
So out of town, a couple games going on today in the Big Ten. Ohio State and Rutgers are tied at 0 in the top of the 6th. Illinois and Michigan State are tied at 1 at the bottom of the 4th. Butler leads Purdue 5-1 at the top of the 4th, while Penn State leads Central Connecticut State 4-1. While Texas is losing to Nebraska right now 3-0 at the bottom of the 3rd.
Yeah, Nebraska, surprising, they going for the sweep against Texas. They won 3-1 on Friday. Won 1-0 in 15 innings. A walk-off hit by the Huskers yesterday afternoon. And today, with that 3-0 lead, looking to knock off Texas. Texas came into the weekend 12th in the country and will likely be dropping a little bit in those rankings. Nebraska won the Big Ten last year handily. This year, they were expected to finish 2nd behind Maryland, though. They're appearing to be stronger, and Maryland maybe a little bit weaker than everybody expected. So we'll see how those two teams shake out, but it should be a nice battle between the two red schools.
Yeah, Nebraska looking really good so far this season. They're 3-0 in the Big Ten, 20-7 overall. Certainly a formidable team. And this Maryland team has looked very beatable, especially today and this weekend in this series with the Wolverines.
Swinging a skied pop-up. Wynn going to push that one out of play. Whew. That got pushed about 50 to 60 feet off of its course.
You could see Vencita giving chase as if he thought he had a real shot at it, and then the wind just took that one.
Yeah, it started right over the first baseline and ended up well into the stands. Also in action today, Indiana and Iowa in Iowa City. That one will get underway shortly. Swinging a foul straight back. 0-2 quickly the count on Beyondek. Also Northwestern and Minnesota up in Minneapolis. They're playing later this afternoon as well. Northwestern and Minnesota split the first 2 games. Iowa won their first 2 against Indiana. Indiana has been rather weak this year. Last year, they were one of the top teams in the conference. They had almost half their starting lineup leave for professional baseball. 0-2 pitch was a ball. Now the 1-2 swing and a miss in the dirt. Recording the out at first base. Lugbauer made a nice stop, threw it down to Benedetti. 1 up, 1 down in the top of the 7th for the Wolverines. And Indiana off to a rough 1-3 start in the Big Ten. They are 16-7 on the season. But last year they really had a much better season. Sam Travis was their standout player at first base. He is now playing professional baseball. And this year they're struggling. Of course, they went to the College World Series 2 seasons ago, back in 2013. Looks like maybe a pinch hitter coming in. Kawahara get a pinch hit for Jankarski. Presumably he'll stay in the game in left field. Kawahara, 270 hitter on the season, 16 strikeouts, to 8 walks in 37 at-bats. He has 3 doubles. He played center field in the 2 games yesterday.
Not the biggest guy up there at the plate, but he's a guy who can make contact and get on base.
First pitch from Vancina is a ball low. Kawahara swing and a miss. Big cut. Kawahara, you mentioned he's small, 5'8", 150 pounds out of Ridgewood, New Jersey. Definitely an outfielder there. The 1-1 pitch, tried to check his swing, couldn't hold up. It was way low, 1-2 now the count to Kengo Kawahara. Kawahara, decent speed, takes inside, 2-2 now the count. Kawahara, 1 for 1 on stolen bases attempts, but he does play center field. We saw that he can stretch the legs a little bit out in the outfield. 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss. Lugbauer held on. 2 outs now, 2 strikeouts by Jace Vancina in the top of the 7th.
Vancina looking very strong here for the Wolverines. He's pitched solidly in his couple innings of work so far. Back-to-back strikeouts to start here in the 7th. He doesn't look fatigued at all.
So that'll bring up Brandon Lowe. Lowe started off the day with 2 walks. He scored on the 2nd walk. Got hit on a single by Sierra. He grounded out to Jacobson with a nice diving stop by Jacobson in the 5th. Takes the first one inside for a ball, 1-0. Second pitch way outside. Lugbauer had to reach out to get that one, 2-0.
Just a bit outside there.
The wind looks like it's picking up still when blowing those flags at full attention out in left center field. 2-0 pitch is in there for a strike at the knees. Weather in Ann Arbor has warmed up to a balmy 43. Game time temp was 37. A line drive to shortstop. Bivens makes the catch. 3 up, 3 down in the 7th. It's the 7th inning stretch here in Ann Arbor. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back on WCBN Sports. And welcome back to Ann Arbor. Lugbauer at the plate for the Wolverines. It's going to be Lugbauer, Jacobson, and Cronenworth. Styles still in the game for Maryland. First pitch to Lugbauer, skied. Would have been caught, but it gets blown well out of play. Lands in a snowbank down there near the Maryland bullpen. And, watching the ball off the bat, you look at it, you say, oh, that's going to be a routine pop out by Lugbauer, but, it just gets blown right out of play. Surprising.
Absolutely. Weather has certainly played a factor today on both sides of the plate and the mound. It's just been a huge factor. The cold, the wind, definitely a different game than it would have been in normal conditions.
Lugbauer takes up and in, 1-1 now the count. We mentioned before the break that we get you a weather report. Weather 43 degrees here in Ann Arbor. Feels like 34 with the wind. Wind at 20 miles an hour out of the south. Gust at 35. So no wonder the hitters have had trouble getting the ball into the field of play in the air, getting things down in the outfield. Lots of pop-ups that should have been pop-outs have ended up well in foul territory and out of the stadium even. 2-1 pitch, up and in yet again, 3-1.
And for the Terrapins, a couple of defensive changes after Kawahara came in to pinch hit. He'll play center field. Papio slots over from center to right field, and Jenkarski, who was pinch hit for, goes to the bench.
Lewis moving over to left from right field. Lugbauer jammed at the plate, grounds this one right back to Styles. Styles fielding his position well, picking it up, runs it over half the way towards first base and flips it for the out beyond it. There at first, Jacobson comes to the plate. He ended the first, that 5-run first for the Wolverines. He ended it by grounding into a double play up the middle. Still has yet to earn a little bit of retribution, maybe looking for it here against the left-hander. Styles winds and fires. That one's outside.
Infield playing really deep against Jacobson right here.
Giving him plenty of room to ground it over to him. He swings and misses, and a changeup goes on top of that one. 1-1 now the count.
Styles continues to baffle the Michigan hitters.
2-1 pitch. He bunts this one. Looks like it's going to be fair. Trying to beat it out. Just gets the ball there in time. Jacobson had a nice attempt, but unable to beat it out.
At first, I thought he'd have that one. An athletic play by Styles to make that throw off balance, and a good play by the first baseman for the Maryland Terrapins, beyond Dick, to dig that one out and get the out there.
Yeah, and also a nice job by Styles coming over towards the baseline, fielding it about 3 or 4 feet off the line. That's the third really good bunt we've seen by the Wolverines today. They beat out the first two. 2 outs now, though, in the top of the 7th.
Risky play there, though, with 2 strikes to lay that one down for the Wolverines there.
Sometimes that's when the biggest surprise can come. 2 strikes, I should say. And everybody's playing back. See, right there we saw the third baseman, Quas. Cronenworth wasn't squared to bunt, but Quas was played in at the line, and now with 2 strikes on Cronenworth taking a strike at the knees there. Quas steps back, and now, Cronenworth might have a better opportunity to get that bunt down if he were to choose to do so. 0-2 pitch, up high. Cronenworth stepped out for a moment as the wind was gusting. And the hands just have to be absolutely freezing for the Wolverines today. 1-2, lines this one, just foul down the left field line.
Good piece hitting there to stay alive and nearly poke it into left field for a single.
And there's not much margin for error there down the line. The fence, as Cronenworth takes outside, 2-2 now the count. The fence down there only about 3 or 4 feet off the line. Not much foul territory in left or right field. Maybe a little bit more room in right field than left, but either way, if it's landing down there, it's either going to be fair or it's going to be out of the play, and the left fielder would not have much room. Cronenworth fouls that one off. 2-2, still the count. 2 outs here, bottom 7.
And especially with the wind and the lack of foul territory, I don't think we've seen a single ball caught in foul ground today.
2-2 pitch. Swinging a cue shot. Popped over to the shortstop. Kevin Smith under it makes the catch. Wolverines down in the bottom of the 7th. Another 1-2-3 inning. And, the Wolverines, since the 2nd, have had 5 straight 1-2-3 innings. Taylor Styles really doing a nice job here today.
Yeah, he's got to be the player of the game for the Maryland Terrapins so far. He's kept them in it. He's given their offense a chance late. They have a lot of firepower on this team. They have the ability to hit home runs. They've hit 18 of them on the season. So, this game could just be, a couple walks or maybe a couple hits and then a one swing away from being tied. This game is long way from over.
Vancena going to come back to the mound for the Wolverines here in the 8th. Vancena in his 4th inning of work came in for Adcock to start off the 5th inning, and Vancena has, in relief done almost as good of a job as Taylor Styles has. Obviously hasn't been out there quite as long, but he's done a nice job of really settling things down. Every time he gets in a jam, he's able to get out of it. We saw a really nice pick play a few innings back, had a runner on, threw him out at first, and that really changed the slate of that inning. And Maryland, other than that 2-run third, has had nothing. They just have 4 hits on the day, 2 runs. Michigan with that 5-2 lead, 5 runs in the first, and nothing since for the Wolverines. 1 error on the day for the Wolverines.
Vancena's done a great job changing speeds, keeping these Maryland hitters off balance. He's done a great job keeping the ball down. He's mostly been getting ground outs, just been in control completely, and that's what you like to see out of the Wolverines bullpen.
Kevin Smith coming to the plate now for the Terps. He's 1 for 1 on the day, 2 walks and a single in the 5th. Swinging a grounder over to the left side, past the diving glove of Jake Bivens. And so Kevin Smith, 1 pitch, gets a single, and things are starting up for the Terps in the top of the 8th. Nick Sierra going to come to the plate now. He's 1 for 3.
And Smith is a dangerous runner.
Smith, 7 for 9 on the season, stolen bases. Grounder to the right side. Benedetti gets the first at second. They throw to first. They got the out! Nick Sierra grounds into a 3-6-1 double play.
What a play by Jace Vancena over there at first base. Full extension, doing an excellent stretch play there to help himself out on the mound and get a double play. Huge play there for the Wolverines. They erased the leadoff single, and Vancena now looking pretty. 2 outs here in the 8th inning and nobody on board.
And just as we said, every time Vancena gets into a little bit of a jam, he's able to get himself out. We saw it right there, doing himself a big favor by getting over to first base and making the full body stretch.
I was unaware he was a gymnast in his off time. Great extension there from his legs.
First pitch to Quas in on the outside corner for a strike, 0-1. Quas grounds the second one down the third base line. Foul. Bounces back into fair territory. Bruder going to have to pick that one up and toss it back in towards the dugout. Oh, 2 the count now. Swinging another towards second base. Jacobson fielding it on the run. Just beats him. It was a close play.
That one really took its time getting to Jacobson. He had to speed up there. Quas was hustling down the first base line. The umpire took a long time to make that call. The Wolverines seemed pretty confident it was out, and indeed it was.
Yeah, no argument from Quas. He kind of agreed with it. Looks like we're going to get a new pitcher out of Maryland right now. But, yeah, that play slowly developing had a weird bounce. Maybe some tough spin on it bouncing, and Jacobson had to readjust as he came in towards towards the skin of the infield grass, or I should say green turf, really, not really grass, and picked that one up and had the flip to Benedetti at first.
Perhaps a bit of the unnaturalness that bounces from that turf. Luckily, Jacobson's been playing with it for a long time now, and he was able to handle it there.
So, new pitcher for the Terps, Alex Robinson, left-handed junior. So, again, 3 straight lefties on the day so far for Maryland. Looks like he's got a lot of speed on his fastball, just warming up here. We'll try and get a scouting report on that for you. Robinson, 6'3", 225 out of Hewlett, New York.
Another lefty here for the Terrapins.
They're definitely going for that lefty-righty matchup as much as they can. Again, Wolverines with 6 left-handed hitters in their lineup today. Out of high school, he was throwing 92 on his fastball. And, of course, that was 3 years ago now, so Robinson maybe improving a little bit on that.
Certainly got some zip on it here. Wolverines going to have to tie it up. But when you got a guy who throws that hard, you can definitely make it pay by creating some power from the speed that he delivers with.
And looks like he was named a Gatorade Baseball Player of the Year for New York back in his senior season of 2012. In his high school, in his senior career in high school, through 7-0. He was 7-0 through 23 games of .41 ERA, 109 strikeouts, allowed just 14 hits in 51 innings.
And he's been sterling this season. He's gone 9 innings, no runs, 13 strikeouts. He's been tough to hit this year.
And he's out of Nassau Suffolk Catholic High School. 15-8 record in the senior season for that team.
Certainly trying to keep this game close here. The Terrapins trying to keep it at 3 so they give a chance to strike in the top of the 9th.
So Bivens comes up to the plate, bottom 8. Wolverines with a 5-2 lead, trying to get a few insurance runs. First pitch bunted. That one fouled straight back, almost went into the window of the booth in the press box next door. There's a mark there on the window from where the ball hit. That towards the baseball managers in the box next to us. They're a little scared, trying to get their wits back about themselves. Bivens swings and misses, and another fastball. And this by far the fastest pitcher they've had to face all weekend.
Looking really behind the ball now. Bivens, he's got to load up, get a swing going nice and early, and make contact.
He got him looking. Fastball on the outside corner. Bivens didn't know what to do with it.
Robinson thus far living up to his resume. Looking very strong in that first at bat, shutting down Bivens. Overpowering him, really.
Baseball America has him pegged it, sitting 92-94. And no wonder Wolverines have had trouble hitting him so far.
If someone's going to hit him, it's going to be this guy, Glines.
First pitch, low and away, 1-0. Glines up to 430 on the season. Chops this one over to first base. Easy play for Biondic. Biondic steps on the bag. 2 away here in the bottom of the 8th. Benedetti going to come to the plate now. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not Jacob Cronenworth, Michigan's closer, comes to the mound for the 9th inning, or whether they stick with Jace Van Sena or maybe go to somebody else. Cronenworth made his first career start yesterday in the first game of the doubleheader. So he might not be stamina able to pitch. Benedetti fouls that one off the roof of Yost Ice Arena, just to our left here in the box. Looked like it stayed up there in the gutter or something. 0-1 pitch. Swing and a miss.
A nice
Weak
souvenir
swing.
for the building next door.
Weak swing from Benedetti. Didn't look too sure about the swing on that one. Ended up having to commit. Now the 0-2. In there for a strike. Alex Robinson absolutely shuts down the Wolverines. And the Wolverines have gone 6 straight innings without having a base runner. They scored 5 in the first, went 1-2-4 in the second, and since then it's been a perfect game from Taylor Stiles and now Alex Robinson of the Maryland Terrapins.
Luckily, those 5 runs have been enough so far. They're half an inning away here, 3 outs away.
So Jace Van Santa going to come back to the mound for the Wolverines. The stretch crew doing yoga out in left field.
Looks like a little downward. Was that
upward dog?
Upward dog. Upward.
I think is that one? Yeah. And now up. They look like they're doing the fish, moving kind of. They were in a circle and then they moved towards the center of the circle as it concluded. Now they're coming back into the dugout.
A little zen to help finish off the lead. Relaxation always helps in pressure in moments like these. A 3-run lead is nice to have, but it's certainly within striking distance for a team like the Terrapins.
Yeah. The Terrapins will be looking to just string a few hits together, maybe play a little bit of small ball, get runners on and hit them over, play situational hitting. And a guest appearance by Jeremy Parks in the press box right now. He'll be calling the softball game at 3 o'clock over at Alumni Field. Right after the conclusion of this one, that game's going to be on WCBN 2. So Kevin Marti are going to come and try and get things started. They need 3 runs to tie the NCAA regional finals. East regional final just got underway. Michigan State facing off with Louisville in that one. First pitch to Martier, outside, ball 1.
Martier's pure dangerous all afternoon, but nothing is yet to come of it. But he's still a dangerous hitter up there.
1-0 pitch in under the hands, 1-1 now the count. And Santa working quickly from the windup. Off speed, cuts in across. The fans in attendance didn't like the call. No real qualms from the Michigan dugout, though. 2-1 pitch. Swinging a grounder left side. Diving play by Cronenworth, just gets under his glove. Martier in with a single. Terps have something going here in the top of the 9th, trying to tie this game up.
See if Antenna can once again get himself out of trouble. He's found a way to do it thus far. Terrapins trying to get something started here, put on a little threat.
Coach Bakich going to come out and have a conversation at the mound. He was tucking his watch back in his pocket as he came out. No indication yet. Doesn't look like they're going to go for a change. And now a handshake coming. They're going to go with a righty. And still can't see a number, but Jace Van Santa, after a nice performance, going to come out of this one. Leaves a runner on first base. But assuming Martier is not able to score, Van Santa, his final line would be 4+, 4 hits, no runs, 2 strikeouts, no walks. A nice performance by the freshman coming in relief. Brian Paul going to be the new pitcher for the Wolverines in this one.
Another freshman here for the Wolverines.
Yeah, Brian Paul .63 ERA in the season, one win, no losses, 8 appearances in 14 in the third innings pitched, 9 hits, 1 run allowed, 12 strikeouts, 4 walks. So Brian Paul has done a nice job in the early going in his career here in Ann Arbor.
Very solid numbers so far. He looks nice here, just looking a little bit at the warm-ups. Looks like he throws pretty hard, and hopefully he'll be the guy to shut the door once and for all on those Terrapins today.
And it'll be Paul's first appearance at home at Ray Fisher Stadium. Made several appearances, obviously, in the early season games down south, out of town. Looks like he's almost ready. Paul, a righty, works from the first base side of the rubber. As he comes set, he has kind of a crouch going on, then he comes standing straight up. It's a nice long leg stride and arm slot right over the top. Paul, 6'1", out of Orland Park, Illinois. So not too far from home here. Wouldn't be surprised if his parents are in town for this one.
Baseball America has him clocked at 91 miles per hour for his fastball. This is another guy who throws hard. Probably the fastest pitcher the Terrapins will have to face all day.
Yeah, one of the more highly touted recruits on this Michigan team. Michigan had a top 20 recruiting class coming in this year, so we have seen quite a bit of contribution from the freshmen, but that's no surprise, and you'd expect in the years to come as Michigan just only gets better under Bakich, who Bakich knows how to build a team from a recruiting standpoint. As the team only gets better, you'd expect more and more of the contribution to come from the upperclassmen, and then get, freshmen a chance to work in the system a little bit. Ball, first pitch gets away from Lugbauer. It's a ball, and Martyr stays put at first base. 1-0 the count. Tim Lewis, the left fielder for the Terps. One-0 pitch. Gets the outside corner, a strike. 1-1. Coaching staff moving the outfielders around a little bit. Jackson Glines was shaded a little bit towards left field. Now he's moving back towards center, now a little bit to the right of second base. Kevin White moved over to the right a little bit as well. Ball in the dirt. Nice stop by Lugbauer. 2-1 now the count to Tim Lewis. Brian Paul coming in, trying to get the save here. Wolverines with a 5-2 lead. No outs in the top of the ninth. Had 5 runs in the first and nothing since. 2-1 pitch. Hits the outside corner for a strike. Tim Lewis didn't like the call. Gives a look back to the umpire.
Good
Takes
pitch.
a shrug and steps back in.
Good pitch there from Paul. He's got him where he wants him at 2-2. Look for him to try and go outside again. Maybe look for the double play ball on the ground.
2-2 pitch. Outside corner. He got him. Fastball. Got him looking. Tim Lewis goes down, and he is upset. Going to walk back to the dugout, have a few words with each of his teammates, give him some instruction on what the umpire's calling. But in any case, 1 out here and a ground ball would end the game and win the World Series, win the series for the Wolverines. First pitch, that one's low. Anthony Papio at the plate. The 7-hitter, he's batting .323 on the season, but 0 for 3 today. 1-0 from Brian Paul. Up and away, 2-0. Lugbauer has done a nice job today of keeping his pitchers under wraps, keeping them nice and in control, especially early on with Brett Adcock struggling through about 30 pitches in that first inning. Settled in nicely after that. 2-0 pitch. In at the knees, 2-1.
Lobauer definitely deserves some credits. He's been solid behind the plate. He hasn't let much of anything get past him in situations where it would have hurt him. And he's done a great job corralling and keep his pitchers controlled.
Paul comes set. 2-1 pitch. Swinging a fly ball into right field. Kevin White tracking back to his left. Under it. He makes a catch. 2 outs here in the top of the 9th. Wolverines looking for the 2-1 series win against a big-time opponent in Maryland.
And that was a moonshot there. It would have been really high. I would not be surprised if it had ice particles on it after it came down, just like Sam Decker's jump shot yesterday.
It's nearly cold enough. And, of course, referring to Sam Decker making threes all over the place for Wisconsin. Had the dagger in that win, sent them to the Final Four. Kevin Biondic at the plate, takes inside, nearly hit him. 1-0 the count after this game. The Wolverines are going to face off with Toledo and Central Michigan on Tuesday and Wednesday. Home at 4 p.m., and then they go out to Indiana for a 3-game set next weekend, starting Friday. Scoreboard is dead here in Ann Arbor, and now it's back. Striking at the knees. 1-1 the count.
Wouldn't be surprised if the scoreboard froze due to the temperature.
Paul comes set. 1-1 pitch.
Ooh.
In there at the knees again. 1-2, and the Terps are down to their final strike here in Ann Arbor. Paul looking to shut things down and close it out. Get the save with a 5-2 victory. Wolverines nice hitting in that first inning, getting 5 runs, tagging the starter Willie Rios for all 5. The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Game over. Wolverines win. The Wolverines take the series. And that's a nice way to finish off a weekend, a cold week, after starting the Big Ten season with a sweep. At Nebraska getting swept, starting off 0-3, dropping the first one here to Maryland, and moving to 0-4 in the Big Ten. Now they move up to 2-4. That'll help them big time as things progress, especially since Maryland, one of the better teams that they're going to be playing. And, expect this to help kind of jumpstart them as they move towards the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They played well enough today. I wouldn't say they played great offensively, but they got 5 runs in the first inning off starter Willie Rios, who just did not have it today. And then the pitching and the defense was great. It held up the whole game through. They shut down this team, which has a lot of firepower. Held them to only 2 runs and 6 hits. It's a great performance. A bunch of freshmen came in and pitched really well. You can only expect them to get better. And I think this Michigan team could hopefully gain some real confidence from this and continue to play well in the Big Ten.
Yeah, nice pitching by 3 different freshmen for the Wolverines. Jace Van Sena coming in, 2 different Wolverines. Jace Van Sena coming in. He got the win on the day, improves to 1-1 on the season. ERA drops to 2.82. Brian Paul came in for that 9th inning, got the save. ERA at 0.59 now on the year. 1 inning pitch for him. Adcock, of course, the starter. He gave up 2 runs on 4 innings pitched. The loser today, Willie Rios of the Maryland Terrapins, drops to 1-1 on the season. Did not record an out in this game. ERA jumps to 9.42 as he gave up all 5 of the runs. Wolverines improve to 14-12 on the season, 2-4 in the Big Ten. Maryland falls to 18-7 on the season, 4-2 in the Big Ten. That's going to do it for our broadcast here from Ray Fisher. We'd like to thank you for tuning into our broadcast. We will have the remainder of Michigan's home schedule right here on our YouTube account. And also, please tune in to our broadcast of the softball game, WCBN Sports 2, the YouTube account for that one. That one's going to get underway in just under 20 minutes over at Alumni Field, 3 p.m. the start time there. Jeremy Park's going to be on the call for that one. And as always, please subscribe, give us your feedback here on YouTube or on our Twitter account at WCBN Sports. Give us a follow. And we love the social media here at WCBN Sports. That's going to do it here from Ann Arbor. I'm Eli Sherman alongside Dan Disler. Wolverines win 5-2, win the series 2-1. We're going to leave you with a good night and a go blue.